up going to Long Island a lot because I have family there. One way in, one way out is my nightmare.
So
Now,
there is technically two.
ferry.
Well, no, there's two bridges to the Cape.
That's still, but it all gets closed down, and there's one, like, you have to go one direction onto that.
There is a little bit of traffic. There's a little bit of traffic.
Anytime I hear anyone talk about the Cape, the first thing they bring up isn't the weather, isn't where they stayed. It is the drive, and they say if the traffic killed them or it didn't. And if that's the first thing you have to bring up, I won't go. Now, I will take the ferry to Provincetown eventually.
Yeah.
I heard it's beautiful. And all right, cool. If I can take a ferry, I don't have to deal with traffic, I'm in. But overall, the Cape, I don't understand it. I will go to Provincetown. I'll come back. That's it. You get to the Cape, and then there's traffic on the Cape. My eyes were opened when I went to Maine a couple of years ago. Now, I live in Wakefield. I'm North Shore. Once you get north of Danvers, the lanes open up to 75 miles per hour. You can go 90 if you want. And you get there, multiple ways in, multiple ways out. That's my cup of tea. That's my start. That's my start for where I'm going.
So as somebody who, one, hates traffic, hates, I don't mind driving, but I have to be moving. If it's going to take the same amount of time, I'd rather go 15 miles an hour than the entire way than like 60 down to 5, up to 50 down to 5, right? But also as somebody who has been to the Cape and lived on the Cape for a summer, so I'm not an expert, but I've been down there. I was the voice of the Harwich Mariners for a year when I was in college, which was very
awesome.
cool, Cape League team. The Cape is great if you're there. Like, day trip to the Cape I've done a couple times. That's a tough sell because you're spending so much time in the car. If you're going for a weekend or a week, it is nice because it's a little more than just a beach town, right? You have, amazing golf courses, the Cape League, everybody. If you're not just baseball fans, if you're a sports fan, you should go to a Cape League game. I mean, talk about how can you not be romantic about baseball? It's an unbelievable environment. You're going to see guys that are going to be in the majors. I'm biased. White House Field, the best field on the Cape.
Is that for the
That's Harwich, yeah. If Dan Roach is listening, I think he's a Chatham guy. Chatham probably does have the best sunset because of the way the field's angled. But 617-779-0985. You want to call out my Cape League stadium takes.
Mo Vaughn, Cape League alum. Mo Vaughn, Seton Hall alum. Mo Vaughn, baseball great.
Quite a bit. Matt McCarthy called for the Bourne Braves. I don't think Judge was on the Bourne. I don't think Aaron Judge was on Bourne when McCarthy was there, but McCarthy called Cape League games the summer Aaron Judge was there. So there's a lot to do on the Cape, but it's a commitment. You don't go for a day or 2 days. You got to go for a few days to really be down there. So like I was living down there. I was living in like I was put up by the team. It wasn't like the nicest accommodate. I mean, it was fine. We're at a motel, but like...
You know what, though? When you're at the beach, accommodations don't have to be...
I know, but that's the thing. I didn't... Because you're never there. We would...
Yes.
So I was roommates with a buddy of mine from college, a close friend of mine, who was working for Falmouth. So we were staying in the middle in Yarmouth. We'd get up in the morning. We both had kind of like day jobs. He worked at Olympia Sports. I worked at Sports Authority. Then we'd golf after work, go back, shower, change, go work the respective game, go out for a drink or go to the beach at night. Like we just weren't there.
So it
was the best.
As an open hater of the Cape, that sounds amazing though.
And
the intimacy of Cape League baseball, to your point, you can see Aaron Judge play baseball before he's actually Aaron Judge. He didn't get up to the bigs till he's 26. But you can see major league level players play where you should pull up a lawn chair, right? I've never been. It is something I have to go experience.
So the summer I was there, the guy that tore the league up, and he was only there for like half the year because he did some Team USA stuff. And I'm watching this guy, the way he's hitting the ball. And he was playing in Orleans, which can be a tough park to hit the ball out of. And he was hitting a ton of home runs. And I'm like, wow, this guy. And he could throw 96 on the mound, too. And I was like, wow, this guy might be really good. And then he got drafted by the Red Sox. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And that was Bobby Dahlbeck. So it doesn't always translate. But I can't recommend the Cape League enough. And working the 4th of July game was really cool in particular. I remember doing that when we had like everybody had the special uniforms. There's fireworks and all that. So... we do have a Cape League call. Frank in Marshfield on the Cape. Frank, what do you got?
Yeah, just tuned in, boys. How you doing? I love the Cape League.
What's the best ballpark on the Cape?
In Brewster. Yeah, well, spent a lot of time in Brewster, so Brewster Whitecaps were our home team, but we always enjoyed going to the Orleans Redbirds. Love that park. My son was real young. Tons of autographs, getting right down there. Just, like you said, baseball romanticism, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the call, Frank. So I have a funny story about the stadium in Brewster. So Kevin Biggio was on the team that I called games for. Now with the Blue Jays, Craig Biggio's son. And in Brewster, the road broadcast sits in the front row of the stands. So we're calling the game, and Kevin Biggio had like his best game of the year. He was awesome in that game. And so I'm talking about like Kevin Biggio having this great game. And the guy I'm calling the games with after, he's like, "You're laying it on a little much, don't you think?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I didn't realize Craig Biggio was sitting like right behind me. So
You know what? Craig Biggio's probably sitting there going, "This is good. He needs it. Knock him down a peg."
well,
you know?
So it was I was being very complimentary of him. I'm saying because he's having this great game. It also happened. That was the summer, and this was right after Craig Biggio got inducted.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So
Craig Biggio, Seton Hall alum again. I love the start to this show.
we had. I got to pull up the roster. We had a pitcher from Seton Hall, and
On
he would
that
be about
Harwich
your
team?
age. Yeah, on that Harwich team. So I got to remember what his name was.
What was the summer?
It would have been the summer 2015.
All right, Harwich. What is it? Harwich.
Harwich Mariners. I'll find it during the break. You want to talk Cape League? 617-779-0985.
You think anyone expected to start their Saturday with the Cape League baseball talk
It's the
on
5th
Boston
of July.
Talk Radio?
It's the 5th of July.
It's
We're
a
here.
beauty.
You want to get at George for being anti-Cape? I know a lot of you are very particular about the Cape. You want to get at George for being anti-Cape? 617-779-0985. I do want to get into some Celtics news, too, because that is what we do this time of year. I want to talk about Damian Lillard, because I still am sort of mystified by this. I don't think I'm alone, but I'm more in the minority than I expected. You want to call on that, 617-779-0985. It's Alex Barth and George Balekji on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sport. Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You don't have the money to give Dame. You have the taxpayer mid-level $5.6 million. You sign to a 2-year deal. You let him rehab with Jason next year. He's coming back from the torn Achilles about a month before Jason did. And then you really compete in 26, 27. You got him and Jason along with Derek, Jalen, and then you find a big. Oh, yeah, Al. Al be back too. And you find a big man and you go all out, balls to the wall in 26, 27 because you got to take advantage of Jason and Jalen's time. And to me, I think that's something they should seriously consider. Now, if it's going to put them in a second, don't do it. But you have in the first apron, the taxpayers mid-level. If you can talk Dame into coming, now you have 2 guys, you have to be useful with your roster because 2 guys next year on your roster who aren't going to play. But if you're not going to win next year, why not let him rehab, be a mentor to Peyton, let him rehab with Jason, bond there. In 26, 27, a motivated Dame who still has something left, and Jason, Jalen, Derek. Like it's you really. The only thing it really does is take up a roster spot.
That was Gary Washburn on whether or not the Celtics should pursue Damian Lillard. He's in on it. It's Alex Barth and George Balekji here on the Sports Hub. You want to call in 617-779-0985. We'll get back to the Cape League stuff in a second, but I do want to talk about this because it's fascinating to me. A lot of the points you just made, I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think it's that simple. I like Damian Lillard. I think Damian Lillard is a good player. It's not the player he once was, but I still think he's a good player. He's a fun player to watch. I would love to see him get a ring. I think he would have a chance to do that here, not this year, but maybe in a year or two. But I don't think it makes sense for the Celtics.
Why?
So I'll give you 2.
I am on board. You and I are very different.
Yeah.
Where I'm going, I understand the rebuild. I understand the rebuild.
Yeah.
I understand them giving it a gap year to get back to contention when Tatum's back. If he accepts a role, I'm with it.
So, okay.
Now, for the Celtics right now,
yeah,
you are the person of, no, I'm holding the Celtics to a higher standard, and we'll get into all that, and I understand it. I want to hear why in that one, because it's good context on how we both feel.
One that you just said, like there's a situation where I can see it making sense. I just don't think that situation is going to truly present itself. So one is what's his role going to be?
Yep.
I don't want Damian Lillard taking 20 shots a game and taking away from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in the starting lineup. I don't want that. I don't think that helps, especially because he's 35. He's coming off a torn Achilles. He's still going to want his shots, but what if he's not the same player on the other side? There's a real chance of that.
Yeah.
So if he comes in and says, I'll lead the second unit, or I'll be more of a distributor, right? I'll be this team's Eddie House. Okay. I don't think that's going to happen, but if that were to happen, I'd be more open to it. The other thing, and Gary Washburn mentions it in there, everybody's acting like they're going to get Damian Lillard for free. Mm-hmm. And look, they're not going to have to pay him what he's worth because he's already getting paid by Milwaukee. But I don't think it's a lock he gets the minimum either. Because if multiple teams want him, yes, he's already getting taken care of, getting paid, but why not pocket a little extra money if you can? And the Celtics have pretty much let it be known. And we talked to Bobby Manning when we were on together on Tuesday, and he mentioned they're making financial decisions right now, not basketball decisions.
It's business. It's not basketball
right.
for the Celtics.
So if getting under the second apron is so important, there's been some reporting out there they want to get under the luxury tax altogether.
Yeah.
If you're still going to use the mid-level exception and do that, you're not trading for Lillard, and it's not like you can't afford these other players in general, but if to meet their financial restraints, what if signing Damian Lillard, would you sign Damian Lillard if it means it costs you Sam Hauser, and you have to trade Sam Hauser for nothing? What if it costs you Anthony Simons, who's essentially the same player, maybe not quite as good, but stylistically the same player, but he's not going to demand as big of a role. He's not 35. He's not coming off a torn Achilles.
Yeah. You're going to have to pay Anthony Simons a lot, though. So the difference between Sam Hauser is $10 million right now.
Yeah.
Simons is 26, 27, expiring deal. Really good, really young.
Yeah.
What some of these guys are getting paid, I'm talking backup centers for the Memphis Grizzlies getting $15 million a year. Dennis Schroeder finally got somewhat of the bag. He got his $15 million a year. You're going to have to pay Simons. Now, again, that's where everything looks at, okay, perfect world. If you trade Sam Hauser, but in return you get a starting center, which makes sense again with the second apron. To your point, though, I cannot then say you'll have Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons. Simons and that $26 million, George Niang and that $8 million, those have to go. They're back over the second apron. James Minot took them back over that when they signed him. Bringing in Luka Garza took them just under. This is a team that I don't see them landing Dame just because of the pure fact of by the time they're ready, he may be signed with another team. What's hilarious, though, is looking, because I was like, all right, who's a contender that has cap space? The team with the best cap space situation in the NBA is the Utah Jazz. They're $8 million over the cap. The cap, quote unquote.
Right.
That first apron, the tax threshold. One that could make sense, two teams, Dallas, San Antonio. They both have a little more room to play with. They can play him more. But again, to the point, what is Dame's role? What does he want to do? He has to rehab
in
for a year.
San Antonio, I think he could start, right?
Next year, maybe. Stephon Castle's really good. They're going to still add, and it's all about Wemby. I think they keep drafting and adding. Like, they have Dylan Harper. He'll run that second unit for the Spurs. I like Stephon Castle a lot. UConn guy. He has to develop and get a shot. I think wherever he ends up, here's the thing. He's really good. He's one of my all-time favorite players. Loyal to a fault. Stayed in Portland too long, but I give him credit there, and he's clutch. This is a guy, if for one of his boxes to check when he's going team to team is, I need to start, I'm hanging up the phone. You're going to be 35 coming off a torn Achilles. I need you to come in and be a winner, teach my young guys, and hey, guess what? Who cares if you're starting? If you are still 70% of what you once were, you'll be on my closing unit. That's where it is. It's not black and white with Damian Lillard.
So if he's willing to buy in on all that, sure.
I think he should.
I think he should.
He bought in on Portland for all those years, and he bought into.
But he was the star in Portland.
And then when he got to Milwaukee, who's a star?
He was still a star.
He was. No,
it's going to be a much different role here.
Yeah. If he goes to San Antonio, it is Wemby. It's going to be him because he's a vet. And then what? Maybe it'll be Dylan Harper at that point, but I don't completely buy it. It's each situation to its own. Honestly, if I'm Damian Lillard, what I'm doing, I'm sitting out this season. I'm getting $22 million from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I'm going to rehab my Achilles, and I'm going to see how the cards reshuffle. Again, second apron, teams going all in. Look what Houston did in a matter of a month. Got Kevin Durant, added a ton. They are, you could argue, the best team in the West roster-wise. Better than the Thunder. Look at what the Hawks did. We were like, what are they doing when they traded DeAndre Hunter at the trade deadline? Look at that nucleus now around Trae Young, including the draft picks they've made. If I'm Dame, I'm waiting. I'm seeing not what LeBron does, but I'm looking at what the Spurs do. I'm checking in with Jason Tatum. I'm checking in with the Miami Heat. He's boys with Bam Adebayo. But if I'm him, I'm going ring hunting. I would wait a year, and I would go to San Antonio.
Is there any worry, though, in that? Because I also think that's a strong option for him if I was advising him.
Why not?
Because there is, and this is true in all of sports, and I think it's kind of true in life, out of sight, out of mind, right? Next year, you're the guy that was out of basketball for a year. He was hurt and out of the league. And are you going to be viewed that way? And maybe you're not getting the same level of offers, the same kind of roles, the same kind of, even maybe money, even though you're getting paid by Milwaukee that you would. I still think it's not a bad idea, especially if he can go somewhere and, maybe if his rehab's ahead, can he go play? I don't know what the timeline is, but could he go play a couple games in the Big Three league, or could he go play a couple games? I don't know.
The Big Three is right now, which is it's July 5th. So yes, technically.
Or could he go? Is there somewhere he could go play, do some sort of showcase that, hey, I know I was out of the league last year, but I'm still good to go?
You know what? He won't have to, because the NBA. Kevin Durant got DeAndre Jordan a major contract with the Nets.
That's true.
So Dame picks up the phone.
It's very much a name brand kind of league.
Guys looking out for their guys. He won't have to do any showcase. It's his name and the friendships he has.
I'm with you. I think not sitting out the year, but being unsigned for the year is not the worst opportunity for him.
This is what I think is so funny. When he got waived and they stretched his money, which teams can do, everyone's like, what are the Bucks doing? How can you do that to Dame? I understood who he is as a player, a leader. He dealt with blood clots. He got back. He tore his Achilles. The Bucks don't have any room for error. They need to win now to keep Giannis there, because if he decides to leave, they will never get another Giannis Antetokounmpo unless they fall into him. They got lucky to draft him. They literally had to keep him a secret leading up to the draft with workouts for him to fall to them where they did. But anyone giving the Bucks crap for stretching out Dame's money and still paying him, He's 35, torn Achilles. They need to win now. And guess what? Dame still gets paid. I did not understand that kickback, that flack they were getting. How do you do that to Dame? They need to win and keep Giannis healthy, and he still gets paid, and he's now a free agent. He could return to the Bucks if he wants.
Right.
Actually.
I don't think he wants to, but you're right.
But I just didn't understand. How could you do that to Dame? He tore his Achilles, and they need to keep Giannis happy. And with doing that, they get Miles Turner. That was the stuff that didn't make sense at all.
All right, I see you guys lined up on the phones. Levi, Gary, we'll get to you next. Quick break here. Right back with your calls on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for Sports Hub.
As I said, right back to your phones here, Alex, Barth, George Balekji with you on the Sports Up until 5 o'clock. We started off, so we found out George is anti the Cape.
Hate the Cape. Never been. Hate it.
Jersey Shore guys anti Cape Cod. So you want to call him out on that.
I'm pro Maine.
6-1. Maine's great. I do love Maine.
But yes, I'm anti.
Maine is excellent. 617-779-0985. So that naturally brought us to some Cape League talk, and that's what we're getting the calls on. Levi and Foxborough on the Cape League.
Gentlemen, good afternoon, and a gorgeous afternoon at that. Levi from Foxborough coming at you on July the 5th. Hope you had a great holiday yesterday. Talking Cape League, like you said, baseball and Cape Cod in general. I want to say you guys are right. Cape League is absolute baseball romance, a love letter to the game, truly. Go Whitecaps. My cousin's their mascot. Shout out cousin Iman. As far as Cape vacationing goes, to or to not make the drive, as it were, like you guys were saying. At first, I was going to call in and, put you on blast, say you got to get down there, which hopefully eventually you do, maybe once. But now the more I think about it, you're right. The traffic situation is abysmal. We got cars making that pilgrimage over the Bourne and the Sagamore day in and day out. Only chance of getting there is if you go at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, or at the crack of dawn. So maybe stick to the Jersey Shore and maybe get out there once. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks for the call, Levi. That's what I used to do. When I was working down there in the summer and I'd come home, it was always like 10, 11 o'clock. I'd get on the Cape at 10, 11. Like, going down there in the middle of the night is great. Coming off, you'd hit a little traffic because there's some people who are like, well, I'm going to skip the next morning. But it was never horrible, especially you wouldn't hit traffic on the Cape. Getting over the bridge was a little bit of a pain, but that's what I would do.
Overnight, though, you need a place to sleep. Like, you're going to get there 1 a.m. You have to, like, what if your check-in is
so again, like, me and my buddy were living at a motel, so I had a place. Had it set. Right.
I'm a big, like, wake up at 5 a.m., get on the road by 5:30. Like, I'm the person I'll eat the drive. You sleep. I just need you to wake up.
So, but you're coming from the North Shore, right? So if you leave at 5
a.m., you're getting to the bridge,
you're going to hit the bridge at like 7 o'clock.
I still get screwed. I would do the night before.
That's you just see if you can get like a late check-in. I bet places down there do that.
You know what I'm going to be? I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to be a ferry guy.
The ferry's another thing because then you can just come down the other way from P-Town.
Yeah.
That's a drive, though. I've only done that drive once.
That's the thing. You get on the Cape, there's traffic, too. I appreciate Levi on that call, though. He had every right to call me out on my stuff. And, guys, please do. Like, please, I want the smoke. But also, Levi, very level-minded. I appreciate it.
He had his agenda. He went right through it. It's like he was hosting the show. Gary in Marblehead has a Cape League story. Gary.
What's up, fellas? First and foremost, go Bombers. If you're in college. What up?
College, yeah.
George, question for you. You've never been to the Cape, you said?
Never been to the Cape, and I hate it.
So how are you going to knock it if you've never been?
It's a good question.
Because if I go to the Cape, the first thing I have to plan is how I beat the traffic. And the first thing I'm going to think of when I get from the Cape is, was the traffic good or bad? So if I have to think of traffic more than anything, I'm not doing it. That's an awful place to go. Now, if you
do you just not go to the grocery store if there's a line?
The line moves quick. Does the line take 4 hours to go like 2 square miles? No.
If you're going to the Cape with a 4-hour traffic, you're not planning right. So that's on you. I think you should go. You got to give it a shot.
What's the time to leave, Gary? What's the plan? Give me the plan.
Oh, I haven't been to the Cape in years. It's been a while. So that's not a question for me.
Why haven't you been there in a while? Where have you been going?
Well, I don't necessarily live in Massachusetts anymore, so that's kind of a drive for me. But
that's fair.
I think he's in Marblehead, Ohio.
Yeah, Marblehead, Ohio. Anyway, Cape League. Just wanted to bring up my player that I'll always remember is Matt Wieters, 06.
Okay.
Gave me a signed bat as a kid. It was like the coolest thing ever, and it set my fantasy league rosters in baseball for years and years to come.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for the call, Gary. You get such immediate access to the players, and these guys become stars.
Exactly, and it's like one of those you never know who's going to be big.
Right
now, they're the guys, the pedigree. Like you talked about it with Kayvon Biggio was there. Awesome.
Yeah, we had him. We had Preston Palmeiro, Rafael Palmeiro's son. And do you remember Brad Lidge? He was a closer in like the mid 2000s. Yeah. We had a catcher, Ryan, I think was his cousin or something. Mm-hmm. So we had like a lot of, that was the whole story that summer until we set the record for the most strikeouts in a season, hitting, not pitching. But before then, the story was like, oh, there's all these like major league relations on this team. It was a really fun team to cover.
I love that. And I think that's a cool part, though. It's the same thing of you can walk up to the guys, it's lax, it's not too many fans. I mean, I bet the games get packed, but it's not crazy.
It's realistic. And like a lot of these, like they know what they're getting for a crowd. Yeah. So most of these parks you might not get like bleacher seats, but is it Chatham? There's like a hill in the outfield. Like the outfield's just on a hill, and people go sit on the hill or sit at the restaurant across the street, and you can see in. And
there's beauty to watching a baseball game, and it's, do you want a bleacher seat? Do you want to bring your lawn seat? Do you want to hang over the fence and you have your little koozie with you? I think that like to enjoy a good level of any sport in that fashion, I think is the best thing in the world.
We got to get you to Cape League game, but here's somebody and Jeremy who agrees with you on the Cape. Jeremy.
Hey, yeah, I agree with that take on the Cape. Honestly, born and raised in South Boston, I've never understood the hype around the Cape. I mean, the other day I was driving up and saw all that traffic on Route 3. I've been to the Cape many times, but it just, I don't know. I don't understand the hype around it. I'd rather go to, like, New Hampshire or something.
Jeremy, so that's where you go? New Hampshire's your spot?
New Hampshire or anything on, like, the North Shore, like Wingacheek Beach. The Cape kind of didn't do it for me.
I'm with you all the way, man. I get me to Gloucester, Rockport, Massachusetts, North Shore, beautiful. I also love when
I go North Shore, I go like Newburyport.
Yeah, great location.
That's the beach I'll go when my friends up there. I'll go up there.
When I go to Maine, I'll go York, or I'll push it. I'll even drive further than York, do like a day trip to Ogunquit in a way, or Kennebunkport, check it out, then go to York. I'm just telling you guys, multiple ways in, multiple ways out. The drive to Stowe, Vermont, beautiful, scenic. Loved it. I was telling you how I went to Saratoga Springs last weekend. The one knock I have on Saratoga Springs, I'll own it. Beautiful city, great lake, awesome everything. The issue, especially leaving from Boston, you have to go all the way through Massachusetts, through the Berkshires. No one wants to do that.
I've done that drive. It's
tough.
Ithaca College again. Like that's it. That's quite the drive. But
what town's Ithaca in? Is it in Ithaca?
It's Ithaca.
New York?
It's Ithaca, New York. Yeah. So usually we get it the other way because Cornell is in Ithaca.
Yes.
So you tell them, where'd you go to college? Ithaca, New York. Oh, you went to Cornell. No. And then
I'm better than that.
What's the movie with Ice Cube where they're touring colleges? Is it Road Trip? Is it Are We There Yet? Road Trip. They go to Ithaca University in that movie, which is a fake college, but everybody thinks I went to Ithaca, everybody thinks it's the college from that movie. Because it's a small D3 school in upstate New York. They've never heard of it. Oh, so you went to Cornell? No, I went to Ithaca College. Oh, like in the movie? No. It's just some other place. It's a good place, but it's just some other place.
Finger Lakes, great area to go to school, I bet.
Great spot.
You probably
had
nice. Great times.
Yeah, I wasn't, sometimes people ask me, like, especially because I'm from here, so many other people that work in media here, they went to, BU, Northeastern, whatever, UMass. You didn't want to stay? And I'm like, I didn't want to do like a city college. I want to do like the campus. And, I looked at some bigger schools too, but, It was nice because it was nice being out there because it was like once you're out there, you're out there. I really felt separated. I really felt like I was out on my own, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, I had a rough day, I can like go home. Like it was, nope, this is the real world. I'm in it, and it was great.
It's not convenient to get home. I went to Seton Hall, 20-minute commute from my hometown of Wayne, New Jersey. And the one thing,
where's Seton Hall? It's in Newark, right?
South Orange, borders Newark.
Okay.
Yeah, so right there. One thing I always say, like when my cousins are applying for schools and looking here and that, I go, this is your actual one time in life. You can literally pick wherever you go. You get into the college of any state, but I say to them, I'm like, go to a school that isn't a commuter school. That was Seton Hall. And go somewhere where you're away.
Yeah.
And not away of an hour away. Like you were a far drive. You could take the bus, Greyhound, but like something where you can't just decide to go home last minute.
Right.
Because that forces you to be on your own. And a good school where like you're on campus, there's that feel to it.
It was great. We got one question here on the YouTube chat. All right, so you like the New Hampshire beaches, you like Maine, You'll go to the North Shore, you like Nantasket, you like Hull.
Yep.
Rhode Island. You tried the Rhode Island beaches?
No, I haven't yet, but I've been to Newport. I've been to Providence, great food scene. Fed Hill's fantastic. And so here's the thing: Providence can be one hell of a drive, but still, you don't get into that where you get jumbled into going on the bridge. But no, I haven't tried any actual Rhode Island beach. I've been to Newport, Providence, been to Warwick. Awesome state, but I haven't been to the beaches there yet. I think like Rhode Island's a hidden gem in a way. You get to those coasts, but it's one of those like you're there. I don't think if you're from Boston, you like make it a priority. Because if you're going to drive that much, you might as well go to the Cape.
That's true. We used to go down. I didn't go for the beach. I used to go to like the big. Remember, you used to go like before the first day of school, like a day or two before. You go to the mall, you get clothes, you get your school supplies, whatever.
You do the beach.
We used to. Well, no, we used to do that at the Providence Place Mall.
Oh,
so that was like my one trip a year down to.
Yeah.
With the, I don't know if you've been to that mall. The escalator scene is insane there.
Is that the one that's connected to the Dunk, now the Amp, where Providence plays
Are
basketball?
they connected?
Isn't that the big
it's
mall?
a big mall. It's right there. It must be, yeah.
It has to be.
The escalator scene is just everywhere.
I'm a big fan of the city town of Providence. I think it's awesome there. It's a hidden gem as Rhode Island is, it's a hidden gem of like a college town is Providence.
I do like the college games. They're good. All right, that I'm sure Louth enjoyed that.
Is he a Prov alum?
He's a big and he's a big Friars guy.
I got to text my buddy that's there's something wrong with him. He's sick in the head. My buddy Mike.
Yeah.
Season ticket holder for the Providence Friars. I got to text him saying I'm pro Prov. I'm going to make him call in.
You're great. Well, we got like a whole Big East thing brewing at the station now because we got McCone is diehard UConn.
Yes.
And now we got a Seton Hall guy.
Mm-hmm.
Louth is Providence. I feel like there's one more I'm missing. I apologize. But I think there's at least one more that I'm missing. But
the one thing McCone has above both Louth and I is like UConn's actually relevant.
Has won a national title.
But like been relevant in the past, relevant now. Yeah. It's actual basketball.
Well, we got some Big East stuff brewing here at the Sports Hub. I like it. We're doing one segment of the Cape, one segment of the Celtics, one segment of the Cape and Beaches. I do want to get back to the Celtics. I do want to talk a little bit about Al Horford and his future because I don't think this is getting talked about enough. Maybe it will when he eventually signs, but Al Horford moving on feels like a big moment, and I think it's caught up in the Celtics being in this transitionary period. Let's get to let's hit the break. We'll get back to your calls. We'll get to Al Horford next here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Somebody had to hit one.
Timeout, Jason Kidd. Dallas has missed 7 of his first 8 shots. And on a night the Celtics' hope ends with a fairy tale, how about it starting with the old man and the 3?
It should feel a bit like the end of an era for the Celtics. And I know it does for some people to begin with, but...
Is it? They still have the Jays.
It's the end of a chapter. It's certainly the end of a chapter. Look, Al Horford's been here. This stint alone, Al Horford's been here since 2021. He's been a part of the Celtics' DNA since 2016.
Yeah, when he signed, big signing.
Right.
Wasn't he the biggest contract in history?
He was one of the first, him and Gordon Hayward were 2 of the first big-name free agents this team had landed in decades.
Long time.
And he helped legitimize them. And he's an important person. You talk about the Jays. He's an important person in the development of the Jays.
100%.
As a veteran leader. So I ask you this, George Balekji. And I know you said you're maybe not the most in on the Celtics landing Damian Lillard.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But hypothetical here. And maybe it wouldn't work out this way, but let's just say this. So the reporting right now is Al Horford's basically between Golden State or retirement. The Lakers signed DeAndre Ayton. They're out. I'm kind of surprised he doesn't have a bigger market. Veteran, championship pedigree, all of that could be good to a team like the Rockets, a team like the Spurs, one of these younger teams that's trying to win. And the Celtics obviously can't afford to pay him. But let's say the market doesn't materialize and the Celtics get back in. Let's say he suddenly becomes available for the veteran minimum. We're talking about Damian Lillard maybe being available for the veteran minimum, or even the mid-level exception, whatever it is, right?
Which the Celtics can use if they get below the second apron.
So Al Horford, Damian Lillard are available for the same price. You only have room for one. Which veteran are you paying? Who are you putting on the roster?
Damian Lillard. I disagree. This timeline for this team is when Jason Tatum's back. And Damian Lillard's timeline matches up with that. If Al Horford is mulling retirement right now, what will he do after this season when they're no longer making deep postseason runs or being a finals contender? And
so then you get an open roster spot and you get all that money back to load up when Tatum comes back and hit in free agency next year, which is a better class.
If you commit to Damian Lillard and you have that closer locked up as he's rehabbing and he returns, he can be a closer with the Tatum, with the Brown, with whoever the 5 you imagine on the floor. With Al Horford, yes, he's meant a lot to the city. He's meant a lot to this team and the development of the Jays. But when he's approaching the age of 39, which he will be next season, 40 when Jason Tatum's back, and I get it what you're saying with the money up, that's where you and we are just fundamentally different on this, and I get your side. It's all about when Tatum's back. I'm done with the Al Horford, 20 points, 11 rebounds a night, and then going 3 and 3 the next. I'm done with the up and downs. He's been great. He's up there. If he's mulling retirement, no. When Tatum's back and you have the small window of Jaylen Brown also being in his peak and his prime too, I need what gives the best chance to win, and that would be Damian Lillard when Tatum's back over Al Horford, who, he'll help you get the 4 seed in the East. Awesome.
So I just think, but what if Damian Lillard isn't the same coming off the injury? Now you're stuck with that contract.
But what's the contract when it's MLE? What's Al Horford?
$6 million is apparently a lot. We're talking about, I think it's less than $2 million right now with the aprons.
Yeah.
So that could be the difference between an apron spot or not. If Al Horford retires, that's entirely off the books. You know what he brings as a leader. Like, part of the reason people have pumped up Damian Lillard, he's an older player who will be a good mentor, right? Good teacher for some of the younger players. Well, we already know Al Horford can do that, and Al Horford likes the role. And, oh, by the way, yes, they're not going to win a title this year, but they don't have a center.
And the last part's the most important part in this, because they will have a point guard. They will have a closer when Tatum's back.
And I don't think they want to bottom out this year.
And I think Al Horford would be important in teaching Nemish Queta the system.
Yeah.
Garza's not long-term. They're also going to add a center at some point. So Horford can teach them that. But you know what? And this is where, when I did my first time on the Sports Hub and with you, this is where I'm putting the pressure on Joe Mazzulla. Get younger, get long-term, build that core around Jason Tatum, and Joe Mazzulla and his staff, that's on them to teach the young bigs they bring in. I'm not going to bank on an Al Horford. Again, when the apron matters and they need to get under that for a couple years to no longer hit that repeater tax, I would rather have the money be in on a Damian Lillard down the line than an Al Horford.
Or you could just have the money non-committed. Like, I'm assuming Al Horford's going to sign a 1-year deal.
1,000%.
The money could just be non-committed. And then maybe there's a player that's better than Damian Lillard that's available that you can flip and use that money on. Or maybe that's the difference between getting under the tax or not.
The big thing with this, what's the price? Literally, and I'm saying that seriously. What is Al Horford's price? And in
this
scenario,
hypothetical, the money's the same. Which I think it ultimately will be.
I mean, Al was making 9.5 this past season.
He's not going to make that much.
No. But he's going to want 7, I'd guess. Even if he's ring chasing.
Well, but the reason I thought of this is because right now it sounds like Al Horford's out. Al Horford's not part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It was Golden State and LA, and then the Lakers signed Ayton, right, which took them out of that conversation.
Good luck with that.
So what if it doesn't work out with Golden State? Now it's his market. Is he going to walk away if he has a chance to come back to Boston and play another year? Like, let's say he decides he's just not ready to walk away. Do the Celtics... That's basically where I thought of this question. What if the situation presents itself where the Celtics re-enter the conversation? I don't know that it'll happen, but what if it does? But if it does, it's probably in a situation where there's not significant interest, and the Celtics don't have to win a bidding war for him.
I think at this point, too, the reports are telling us where the Celtics stand. And the fact that they're not in the conversations and it's retirement or Warriors. Warriors are waiting on Al Horford. Yep. That's telling us the Celtics are, hey, Al, go get a ring if you can.
Let's grab one call here before we hit the headlines. Todd is on his way to the Cape. He's in your traffic, George. How is the traffic out there, Todd?
Hey, fellas, how we doing?
Hey, good.
Traffic is a piece of cake. I'm just cruising right now on 25, and I'm about 20 minutes from the bridge.
There you go. It's not bad.
Now listen, back to Ithaca College. Ithaca Blue Bombers, great Division III college football, beautiful campus. We're lucky to have gone there. And the only problem with Ithaca, they couldn't beat my school, Portland. You guys, if you haven't been to the Cape, you got to get down there. You got to go out to Wellfleet. You got to go to White Crest Beach. And while you're out there, you got to go to the beach club where you can see the whole world up there. Enjoy a few little fried clams and some cold beer.
But Todd, I don't want to do the drive. How do I get down there? Do I do what you're doing? The day after the 4th, everyone's where they need to be, roads are clear, then go to the Cape?
It doesn't matter. It's worth it.
No, Todd.
Thanks for the call,
Todd, it doesn't matter. It does.
Well, so for his strategy, you're going to get down there without traffic. Unless you're going to stay till like Tuesday, you're going to hit traffic coming back.
Secret of the Jersey Shore as well. Go the day after the holiday. Everyone's where they need to be. Yes, extend it. Why not? Do the 4th at home, have your hometown fireworks, then go the next day.
Go down on the 5th and then come back.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Come back, yeah. But that might be the way to do it.
You cannot tell me the traffic doesn't matter. What is whether it happened to you, Barth?
Yeah.
People's champ, Georgie, whether it happened to you, what is the most nightmare you've heard of? Or what is the worst case scenario for you guys you've experienced you driving to the Cape? How long? Leaving your place to
drive to the Cape? The worst traffic I've been in, honestly, is not Cape traffic. It's either Gillette concert traffic or there was one day.
That's bad, too. That's like 4 hours to get out of Gillette.
There was one day randomly, coming here, I think like a truck carrying glass or something flipped on 93. Producers couldn't get here. It was like an issue getting shows done. I
believe
here that
it.
Day.
93 is a nightmare.
Somebody, I might have been with. It was either Kyle Fabrizio. I think it was Kyle. It was Kyle or Ryan. It was when I was doing the Sunday morning show. I think had a 3-hour commute to get here.
Ooh.
From the South Shore.
Ooh.
Not like the deep South Shore, but the South Shore. I don't remember exactly where he was coming from.
But the Cape Drive.
Cape Drive? I did drive back the night of the 5th once. That wasn't great. But that was also I knew what I was getting into for that. That was not, it was because I had to be home for something and we had a game. This is when I was working down there. We had a game that day. It had to happen. And I knew what I was getting myself into. I wasn't pleased about it, but had I had a little more flexibility with my schedule, I probably wouldn't have done it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm one of those that gets extremely angry with stop-and-go traffic anytime that happens on the highway. It's just a big no-no for myself. So, yeah, I'm with you. I have to be up at 5, 6 in the morning to kind of pre-plan these things. And next month I'll be going to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and I'm going to completely avoid the city and go around just for sanity's sake, just because I anticipate hitting that around 8, 9 o'clock hour. I still want to avoid New York City, but I do avoid the Cape like the plague. My worst traffic has been around the 93, 95 junction and split there. Yeah. 93, I agree. It's a crap show.
So right now, if I was to drive from where I live in Wakefield to Wellfleet, I just threw in Wellfleet, 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
With Cape traffic, if I'm going
That's actually not bad.
It's the day after the 4th. This is how you should do it. That's how our guy Todd's doing it. I get it.
Flip it. Are you on Google Maps? Do the thing where you flip it. I'm sure it would be going the other way.
Great call. Beautiful.
What would it be going the other way? Let's say you were leaving right now.
3 hours, 7 minutes.
That's also not bad.
Okay. It's not.
Going to the North Shore?
But all that red leading up to Sandwich, that's where the bridge is, right? Because that's a Bourne Bridge, all that. But here's my thing. If that's good, obviously the bad of going to the Cape for a holiday weekend is 3-4 hours plus. At that point, I'd rather be on a plane going to Myrtle Beach. That'll take longer, but the destination is a lot less stressful. And the beach is more relaxing. Not knocking the Cape. Again, like Jersey Shore, love it. There are days where I'm like, I'm not going to the Jersey Shore. In this point, I would rather drive, get me to a lake in New Hampshire, get me to Lake George in New York. I'm going anywhere but the Cape because of the headache and the fact that 2 hours and a half or 3 hours is not that bad. No, I'm good.
So you said, what else can I do to get down there? If you really want to be spoiled about it, you can fly.
Hey, Robert Kraft, can I borrow your helicopter?
You can fly. Or you can
get a friend with a boat. That's how you get to the Cape.
Have you done I guess you do have to go to the Cape to go there. Have you done the Vineyard or Nantucket?
Never done the Vineyard. I've done Nantucket.
So how'd you get to Nantucket?
It was my friend's birthday last summer.
Yep.
When I was living in Charlestown. You leave at the right time. I kid you not, door-to-door Uber, 8 minutes from the airport. I flew. It was cheap. It was cheaper than or same price as taking the ferry. Got to the airport.
From, what, Logan to Nantucket?
Yeah, Logan. Yeah. Small plane, pond hopper. It was a 25-minute flight. And a bunch of people who I with, they did the drive. They're like, why don't you want to do the ferry? It's fun. Because once you get off the ferry, it is. But once you get off that ferry, it's 2 hours from there. Literally took me an hour door to door from Charlestown to Nantucket. Again, I need convenience.
So my
travel needs to be smooth.
Maybe this is what you do. You do the flight
to Nantucket.
I can't believe it's that much easier to fly to Nantucket than the Cape. But yeah, you do the flight to Nantucket. You do a day or two in Nantucket. You take this is what most people do in reverse. Most people go to the Cape, and as part of their trip to the Cape, they do a day or two to the islands. You do the opposite. You do a trip to the islands, and then within that, you take the ferry for a day to the Cape.
Genius.
You do the reverse.
I don't have a boat. Here's the thing, too. Now we'll go on a Nantucket tangent. I think it's really cool. The downtown's relaxing. Great karaoke bars. You know me, Barthy. I love my karaoke. That place is expensive. You're paying for dinners, and I'm looking up Airbnbs, like how much it is to stay. Literally, you could go to Europe for the price of going to Nantucket. Now the flight's 45 minutes instead of 7 hours. I'm a big culture guy. Get me to Europe. Get me to Canada. I am that much money to go to Nantucket. Oof, it's a lot.
I haven't been to Nantucket a lot. I went when I was younger. We used to go to the Vineyard a good amount.
It's cool. It's one of those you have to you get a big group together, get a big house.
Yeah.
You have to do it right. Either that or you got the bread where you can just do Nantucket for a weekend and good for you.
We're well past it. Let's get a check of the headlines. And then my favorite piece of audio from yesterday. I sat up in my seat. I jumped up when I heard this. 90 seconds, no commercials, right to it.
From the Belter Tire Studios, it's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Red Sox are back at it today, looking to clinch series win against the Washington Nationals after their big victory yesterday. Walker Buehler gets the start in this one. Nate Eaton leading off for the Red Sox. The rest of the lineup: Romy Gonzalez, Roman Anthony, Robert F. Schneider, Carlos Narvaez, Trevor Story, Jarren Duran, Abraham Toro, and Ceddanne Rafaela. The New England Revolution, they play tonight. They're out on the West Coast taking on the Portland Timbers. Game gets underway at 10:30. You can catch the broadcast right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. And at Wimbledon, plenty of round 3 action going on right now. That includes Novak Djokovic, who is currently leading in the second set. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does this sound like you? Visit CatchesLaw.com. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 3 o'clock.
Get the app.
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app. In this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
The perennial runner-up, the Red Sox fan, the physics degree, Jeff Esper.
Yeah, Esper, unlike the Red Sox front office, he's here to win today.
Oh, no! Not the Red Sox catching a stray during the hot dog eating contest. And we will get to the hot dog eating contest.
You know how tough that has to be?
So this
you're at home on the 4th, you're on the beach, and you know that contest is on in someone's house. And I'm saying, like, if you're a member of the Red Sox, you're finding a way to enjoy the 4th of July, and that comes on, man. That's tough. When you're catching strays from the hot dog eating contest.
So this is my question to you, Alex Barth, George Balekji, George Spolholder behind the glass today. Take you up until 5 o'clock. You want to call in 617-779-0985. The general perception to the Red Sox for the last, I think it's been about a month, right? Since they traded Rafael Devers. It's been a month at this point.
Yep.
Has not been good. The fan outcry has been significant. The media outcry has been significant. And credit to Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow. They sat on that Zoom press conference for 45 minutes and took some real questions. Shout out to Matt McCarthy, who I think had the best question on there. They took real questions in that thing. But they have to know how high the heat is. And now on ESPN, an MLB partner for now, I know they're kind of going their own separate ways, but for now, an MLB broadcast partner on what's supposed to be a fun, lighthearted broadcast, and they dropped that, and they're not wrong. I think it was the president of Major League Eating who said that, if I remember correctly. I got to remember his name.
Like, you're getting clowned.
Rich
Nothing.
What was it?
Rich AA was the president and CEO of Major League Eating.
Of MLE, of the league, yep.
No offense to the committed athletes of competitive eating. You're getting clowned by the hot dog eating contest.
Like, that has to resonate internally, right? Like, it's one comment, I get that, but just the tone around the team for the last month, that has to start to resonate inside the building, and they have to understand they can't keep operating the way they've been operating. Because it's just another example of them kind of becoming a punchline.
Nearly 2 million viewers for ESPN's broadcast of the Nathans hot dog
and that's
eating
on a
contest.
nice day. That's an impressive number.
Nearly 2 million. And there are people at home that watch competitive eating. There are people at home that aren't locked in on baseball like any of us, let alone the Red Sox. And they hear that and they go, what? Why? And that's where, to your point, though, they make the trade. They're on that Zoom. They take all the bullets. They give the answers. Craig Breslow, Sam Kennedy have been on Ness in pregame. They're making the rounds, too. Like, they are putting themselves available, which I do give credit. There's front office. There are whatever the roles may be.
They have not hid.
Yeah.
They have not hid in the wake of this. They have been out there. I'll give them credit for that.
And the jokes aren't going away, but this is a team still. If they win today,
yep,
their record will be 45-45.
Oh, back to 500.
And that's been the Red Sox.
The most aggressively 500 team. Was I on with you? I was on with somebody. Oh, no, I think this was Thursday when I was on with Holly. Somebody pointed out. I think it's going to happen, probably happen. It's not a guarantee, but like the timeline lines up that in August, the Red Sox could be the caller called a triple 500. In their last 1,000 games, they will have a 500 record of 500 and 500.
Oh.
Think about that.
I'm going to do the math during the break. That's...
The caller said, I didn't run the numbers. The caller said some point in August. I think that it's like 450-something and 450-something right now. So that lines up.
That's tough. But that's been them. 81-81 last season.
Yep.
78-84. 78-84. They're the 92 win year. Like, there was 2021. That's when I got here. And I'm like, oh, is this Red Sox baseball?
It used to be.
It was palpable.
Used to be.
And that's such like an culture, palpable, stuff like that. It's so overused.
No, but it's true.
When they're doing well, you feel it in the whole city. The Red Sox, different than any other team. I'll say that.
When the Bruins make a run, there's great buzz with that. But no, it's different for the different teams. The Red Sox, when they get going in the fall,
they all have juice, but the Red Sox, everyone
a Red Sox playoff run is great. A Red Sox playoff run in Boston, and that 21 one, that felt like the real deal. That felt like the real deal. It used to be like that all the time, George.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason this is so frustrating. It's not like they can't do it. It's not like, oh, well, this is who the Red Sox have always been. They've always kind of been a mediocre team, and we just live with it. No, they've been perennial championship contenders for the better part of 2 decades, and then you get these last 5 years to the point where they're now getting made fun of during the hot dog eating contest.
Unlike the Red Sox front office, he's here to win today.
Right. We've gone from perennial championship contender to that.
That's what, that's what people would say about like Cincinnati Reds. Like they're the ones that be the butt of jokes.
Right.
Kansas City Royals. Obviously the Miami Marlins, who they let everyone go.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Exactly. But the record cannot lie. And then you trade a Rafael Devers. They're still waiting for the pitching to come up. And I know there's a service time manipulation. Probably be up post literally now, July 5th. That was the target to eye. But this is still a team that needs a lot of help in the lineup. Still makes some mistakes on defense. They've led the league in errors. What is it? Last 3 seasons?
They are, and I know they're not only lead the league in errors, or I think they're second right now behind Colorado. They lead the American League in unearned runs allowed. It was 55 going into yesterday. I don't remember if any of the runs yesterday or the run I think yesterday was unearned, but the point being, like, you cut that number in half, they're right in the mix for playoff spot.
And that's playing good, consistent baseball. Good, consistent baseball. But that's been the Red Sox. And when you trade a Rafael Devers, those jokes on hot dog eating contests will happen until there could be another swing. The deadline is literally at the end of the month. But how long do you wait to get back into bolstering your lineup, figuring out the defense? Alex Bregman returns. But you can't just bet on Bregman to come back. There's also
Well, they love to do that. Well, that's a real deadline acquisition. They love to do that.
Who did Matt? Was it Matt Groh would say that too for the Patriots? Wasn't it when like Raekwon McMillan was back from injury? Like, well, we got Raekwon McMillan back this.
A little bit. Matt Groh's famous line was, "If you want to be fast, draft fast guys." That was his line. But we'll play some of the stuff coming back from Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow the last few days about wanting to be aggressive at the deadline. But I go back to this quote from the Jeff Passan piece after the this was the Passan piece, right? After the Rafael Devers trade. You actually found the quote in the email. I appreciate you doing that, so I don't have to dig for it this morning. Making moves to mollify restless fans is a hallmark of bad organizations, but with declining viewership on NESN and empty seats at Fenway, ownership pushed to lock up Devers long term. Multiple high-ranking officials in the baseball operations department opposed the idea. They were overruled. They got bullied by fan pressure into re-signing Rafael Devers. We all knew it at the time. It was pretty clear. Henry got booed at the Winter Classic when he was here with the Penguins. But here we go again. You made fun of during the hot dog eating contest. The team's actually playing okay, but that's not what's being talked about with it. Could we see something similar, if not this offseason, at the deadline this year, where they've become the butt of the jokes of the Rafael Devers trade? Do we see an overswing the other way at the deadline? We'll answer that question next. It's Alex Barth, George Balekji on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home. Boston sports. We're fans just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
So how does that? How does all of this factor into an organization that believes this year is a team built to make the playoffs?
Yeah, well, look, I think both things can be true, that we have every bit of confidence in this group, that we have the ability to be playing postseason baseball. But I don't think you can say that when Rafi Devers leaves the middle of your lineup, that specific move makes you better. That would be silly, right?
We still believe that's the case. And so, our heads right now are trying to figure out how we can improve this team and how we, add in places to bolster the roster so that we can make that deep playoff run that we had anticipated.
That was a mashup of two different answers this week from Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow on the pregame show on Ness, and it's Alex Barth and George Balekji with you. And on one hand, you hear Sam Kennedy say, whenever Rafael Devers comes out of the lineup, there's going to be a fall-off. And you hear Craig Breslow say, we know we need to get better before the deadline. It's just so frustrating because did they not gauge whether it's the on-field product, whether it's the off-field reaction? Did they make this massive trade and not properly gauge the fallout?
Relentless pursuit of winning.
Right, and that's what it's supposed to be. But we heard in that Zoom call Craig Breslow talk about the need to have more lineup flexibility. And, it'll actually be better to rotate players through the designated hitter spot. You have Nate Eaton hitting leadoff today. No disrespect to Nate Eaton, but I don't know how many people had Nate Eaton hitting leadoff on July 5th for the Red Sox.
That would be silly, right?
Right. So did they not gauge this right? Whether it was the fan reaction off the field, whether it was, maybe this whole positionless players rotating thing isn't going to help us as much. Roman Anthony's still in right field, by the way, not his long-term position. They don't even have Marcelo in the lineup today. But
Mitchell Parker, left-handed pitcher.
That's right. So you have Story at short, Toro at first, Eaton at third, Romy Gonzalez is at second base in the lineup today.
Which Roman Anthony, as he's been hitting well lately, still had his struggles against left-handed pitching. But Cora puts him out there, which is great.
Which is good. He's got developed. But
there still is that baby feeding, I guess you would say, of a Marcelo Meyer. But how can you relentless push to win? Nate Eaton's at third over Marcelo Meyer.
Yeah, it's just it's confusing, and I wonder if for an organization that has a history of overcorrecting, are we going to see an overcorrection here at the end of the month when we get to the trade deadline? If not in the offseason, but they talk about being aggressive at the deadline. Are we going to see it? And it could work, it could not work, but is there now this? Just listen to those comments. Look, I don't think Craig Breslow's on the hot seat in the traditional sense. He's only been on this job for 2 years. They're still right around 500. They're still, in theory, in the mix. I don't think it's like they need to make the playoffs this year. He's going to lose his job. Doesn't feel like just the organization's kind of on the hot seat, though. Do you think they're maybe feeling the pressure a little bit more than usual?
It has to be in a way that the point you made, which I think is what hits the nail on the head, we're not talking about the players. We're not talking about the baseball. It's talking about the organization and the front office, where if you're playing good baseball, you're playing winning baseball, and it's consistent. What does everyone outside of Boston know about the Red Sox when everything's going well? Who your best player is, who your second best player is, who your best pitcher is. It goes on, the players. But it's not that they don't know the players. It's they only know about how they've been doing so poorly lately.
Yeah.
And it's not just lately as a season. It's been literally since they made the playoffs since 2021.
Yep. And even really going back, 21 is kind of an aberration at this point because they haven't been competitive. They fell apart late in the 2019 season. Mm-hmm. 2020, fine. It was COVID. They shouldn't have traded Mookie Betts, but they were in this transitionary period. But 19, 20, 22, 23, lost seasons. 24, we'll see. If they win today, they're back at 500 once again, right?
So since 2019, yes, back on the season.
Back on the season, they're at 500.
2018, they won the World Series. Since 2019, the record, 481 and 478. You take away 2019, you go since 2020, 397 and 400. So if they win today, they'll be 398 and 400. It's every way you go on the season. They're 45 and 45 if they win today. It was stringing together those 4 straight series losses where they were on fire. And you're like, all right, 40 and 37. 3 games above 500. They're working. And then they dropped against the Giants 2-3.
Yep.
Swept by the Angels.
Yep.
And then dropped 2-3 against Toronto. Now they
And are those 3 the best teams in baseball?
No.
No.
Have you looked at their schedule post All-Star break?
No, I actually haven't.
Okay, real quick. Let me just I'm just going to throw 3 names out there. The Cubs, the Phillies, the Dodgers.
Oh, is that coming right out of the break?
Yes.
Jeez.
That is first place in their divisions in the NL. Now, it is a cupcake to end before the break. Obviously, the Nats, the Rockies. The Rays always play hard, but that's 4 games. If you split, awesome. You win 7 of your last 10, great.
Yeah, if they can take the majority of that stretch, the Rays always play them tough, but they should win 6, 7 of those games.
They should take 2 or 3 against the Nats. They should sweep the Rockies, split with the Rays, and put them in a good spot. It's the same too in that same presser where Breslow and Sam Kennedy answered a lot of questions, and they continue to stay available and they answer questions. But it was Craig Breslow saying we're not waving the white flag. But my thing is, how long are you going to say you're not waving the white flag? And instead of saying we're not waving it, you're going to make an action and a move to show it. Because as it gets closer to the trade deadline, we know everyone's prices goes up, more teams are bidding. Act the same way they acted urgently with Rafael Devers to trade him. There needs to be urgency to add.
So, but I wonder, and they're going to say that, but are they going to wait and see how these next few weeks play out and get close to the deadline? And George, you hit on something important there. I've been a big proponent of this for a long time. The date of the trade deadline is not the trade deadline. I know that's the day a lot of deals go down. Smart teams, to me, especially if you're not in the driver's seat, if you're not in first place, if you're not an immediate contender, move quickly. Act quickly. The prices are going to be better as a buying team because you're setting the market, and those players are going to help you for more games. In worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, the Braves did this a few years ago. I don't remember the name of the pitcher, but the Braves were, right around the final wild card spot. They're hanging out there. They made a move in early July for a starting pitcher. He threw like 3 games, pitched pretty well, but the team itself bottomed out, and by the time the deadline actually rolled around, they were out of it. And they traded the pitcher away. They sold him off. So if you do it, as long as you don't do anything monumentally earth-shattering, which they're probably not going to do at this point to begin with, and that's not knocking them. I'm just saying you usually don't see those massive, massive trades at the deadline. Those are off-season trades, right?
And what's hard is this team isn't giving them a case to make the move, though. And they need the help.
Well, but that's like, how long can you wait before you decide? Because this team isn't giving them the reason to make the move. They're also not giving them reason to sell.
Yes.
Because you get games like yesterday, and if you're really serious about we need to get back to winning, okay, they haven't given you everything with total conviction yet. Fine. What if you inject a little life into this team by adding and show you believe in them?
Yeah.
What if you give them the reason instead of them giving you the reason? You look at what happened right after Rafael Devers got traded and everybody was declaring the season over. I think the clubhouse took it a little personally. I think they did. I think there was, whether it was they didn't like Devers and they were more relaxed because he was gone, or they were just pissed off that everybody was telling them that they couldn't win without him. There was a little surge there, and it didn't last, but there was a little surge. It's a 162-game season. Yep. You can absolutely play that game. Instead of waiting for them to earn the help, if you're serious about winning, go out, make a move, get them the help, and put a spark plug in that lineup and see what happens. You can tear through here to the end of the break. You come out of the break, you got tough games. Maybe it helped to be have that motivational boost a little bit, and you see where you go. If they really believe in it, I'm with you. This team hasn't given you a very convincing reason to bet on them. They also haven't given you a very convincing reason to be out on them. So if you want to be aggressive, that's what being aggressive would be. If they're really in the middle, buy in and see if that puts them over the top.
The starting pitching has overperformed. The way Lucas Giolito looked again for a 5th straight start yesterday.
Yeah, he was excellent yesterday.
7 2/3, I think 108 pitches, 4 hits, 1 earned run. Went deep into the game. He has been fantastic. His fastball's been amazing. Garrett Crochet has been what you expected. Lucas Giolito has stepped up. Brian Bayo found his level. You have the starting pitching. You need the bats. This lineup,
specifically a right-handed bat and a first baseman if possible.
Yeah. And again, it goes into, though, where can you find that? But can you add? And yes, if it's a first baseman specifically, but at the same time, you can live with an Abraham Toro being your first baseman. He's hitting .294. That's good in lineup. You need a right-handed bat. And then there is, though, okay, how do they acquire that? There's a logjam at a lot of positions, and it's who do they trade? But they need to make a move.
I'll tell you this with the starting pitching, and Lucas Giolito specifically. Do you know why we're even talking about this team as potentially being in it? It's one person, and it's Lucas Giolito. Lucas Giolito has made 18 starts this year. In 15 of those starts, he's allowed 2 runs or fewer. He has an ERA on the season of 2.55. Despite that, the Red Sox are just 11-7 in games he starts. Imagine if they weren't getting Cy Young caliber pitching once every 5 days. They're probably under 500 in those games and well under 500 for the year. Lucas Giolito is trying to save this team. He hasn't gotten run support in a micro sense because I don't have the exact number in front of me right here, but I calculated this the other week. The runs they've scored in his starts, I think they've broken double digits 4 times, oddly enough. Outside of that, they've only scored more than 3 runs, really once, and then one time was in extra innings. They've only scored more than 3 runs in 9 innings once when he started, outside of those 4 double-digit games.
Sounds like Garrett Crochet run support.
Right. So he hasn't gotten any run support in the micro. Get him some run support in the macro. Go help the lineups when he has these gems. He's not fighting for his life out there trying to hold on to a 1-0 lead.
The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
And that was Lucas Giolito's numbers for that. Because Garrett Crochet's same thing. Where
what do you mean that was Lucas Giolito's
You said
numbers?
Lucas Giolito multiple times.
I meant Garrett Crochet. That was all Garrett Crochet. Everything I said was Garrett Crochet. I'm sorry about that.
That's why.
I was confused on it too. Yeah, I
heard
know
it, and I was like, where's
Giolito
this Cy
started
Young?
out a little down.
You're
but
good.
yeah,
it was such a
Crochet,
good take too.
Yeah.
I love that take about Garrett Crochet. Lucas Giolito's been fine, but Garrett Crochet has gotten no run support. Get Lucas Giolito some run support too, by all means.
.83 ERA his last 5 starts for Lucas effing Giolito. You have Max Fried and Garrett Crochet pretty much. And I'm not talking in the literal sense of lefties and righties, but that's what Giolito's been. You want to hit reset? All right, Barth, go from the top.
Let's take a break. Let me reset. I can't believe I screwed up that take.
You said his name twice, and I was like, wow,
did I?
Giolito's been great.
It's right in front of me, Garrett Crochet.
I don't know why. The crochet part, right? That sounds awfully like Crochet's.
I have baseball reference, right? I know there's probably a million people think, wow, that's Lucas Giolito. I wonder how bad it is for Crochet.
You know how many people are about to get out of their car, walk on the beach, and be like, Lucas Giolito, get him the Cy Young.
Yeah. 617.
Alex Barth said so.
You want to talk Red Sox? 617-779-0985. We'll get back to it next year on the Sports Hub.
We failed to reach that alignment.
Boston's home. The Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Can you share with us one of your many that you have favorite Larry Lucino stories?
Larry once physically assaulted me.
What?
And in other words, I had written something, and he was upset about it, and was at some press conference or something, and I didn't want to talk to him because he was mad at me, and because he barked something at me, and he come up, come on, don't turn around, and he come up and he kind of shoved me like that, and then I realized that was Larry's way of showing respect. That he felt comfortable. Come on, talk to me like that. And I always go back to that Larry felt comfortable enough in our relationship to like push me. I had witnesses. I probably could have walked away with $3 million settlement and retired, but I had such great respect for Larry, for his knowledge of the game, for his ambition, for his vision. Larry, two things about Larry. Larry was as good as anybody I have ever met in terms of identifying the right person for the right job. And he surrounded himself with smart people. And that's the hallmark of management. And he was the
Cape Cod, even though he's never been. You want to call and blast him on that? 617-779-0985. But no, you interviewed Buck. And you got that good story about Larry Lucino. And we're talking about this in the context of, if you missed it yesterday, the Red Sox caught a stray during the hot dog eating contest. There's a competitor from Oxford, Massachusetts, who wears a Red Sox hat every year. And during the introductions, the president of Major League Eating said, unlike the Red Sox front office, he's here to win.
Esper, unlike the Red Sox front office, he's here to win today.
There you go. Thank you, Jordan. He didn't win, unfortunately. I mean, it was Joey Chestnut. He was never going to win.
No one's beating.
He had a good showing. I think he hit his over. I think he hit his personal over, if I remember correctly.
You're a man that bets on the hot dog eating.
I do. We will get to that. We will get to that. We are going to do plenty of hot dog eating stuff, trust me. But we're kind of looking in this context of, like, you know, what's the image of the Red Sox right now post-Rafael Devers trade? Is it something they're going to overreact to? And that Larry Lucino story sounds... Did Buck say when that took place?
No,
I would imagine it was... At least, I mean, when Lucino was more, prominently with the Red Sox pre-Worcester, but it sounds like something that happened a long time ago. It doesn't sound like something that would have happened recently.
Oh, if that happened recently, that would be because people in the room that wouldn't understand the context between a Larry Lucino and Steve Buckley. They'd be like, Larry Lucino just shoved the reporter, right? If that was in the Twitter age. And then Steve said it off air. We had him on. He wrote a great piece about the 1985 broadcast that Nesson put on, and it was cool to hear.
75?
75, thank you.
All right, now we're even for the Garrett Crochet, Lucas Giolito thing. There we go. 85, even 86 broadcast would be a little weird because that ended 85.
You don't revoke 86, Buckner, no. But we were talking about that, and Steve Buckley, who I call an institution, he goes, it's because I'm old. I go, no, it's respect, because you could ask him about Harvard hockey or the Boston Red Sox, and he will know the ins and outs and have stories for it.
Yeah.
We were talking about the 75 broadcast, and I know he has so many Lucino stories, so I had him on. I wanted to ask, and he brings that up, and what he said off air too, and he shared it. He goes, and he said it there in the answer. The thing with Larry and why, because I joked, I go, dude, you're better than me. If Larry shoved me, I'm getting my $3 million, I'm disappearing. He goes, that's a respect thing. He respects you enough. He knows he can shove you, but then have a conversation with you. And maybe the shove's embellishment.
Right.
But the fact that there was that respect, he knew who you were. That's a guy he was. I mean, what was his nickname? The Pitbull, Junkyard Dog. Like, Larry Lucino, in the best essence of the phrase, was a mother effer. He wanted to win, and he would go all out. And that is something that's needed, I believe, in so many places where there is someone where the most important thing to them is winning, and they will challenge the people around them to win. And Larry Lucino was one of those guys.
And I'm not saying that the Red Sox don't have those guys right now. If they do, they're outnumbered. And they've said all the right things in that regard. They've said some of the wrong things, but they, like, you heard Craig Breslow say, we believe we're going to win more games after trading Rafael Devers. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's why you want them making moves.
Yes.
Not because of the money, not because this person doesn't like that person. It's, we're going to make this move because we are going to win more baseball games than we otherwise would. It's just a matter of, well, if that's what they're saying right now, one, do they actually believe it? Because the consensus is that's not the case with the moves they've been making. So is their evaluation off? or are they covering for something? But it's been a while since we've seen this team have that kind of kick in the pants. And here's their chance. I'm not saying they can't have it. I'm just saying they don't right now. But here's their chance. Trade deadline coming up. You're still in it, as weird as that is. And I hate the third wild card in baseball. I don't like it. They had a great playoff format. They ruined it. But you know what? If it's going to help my team, fine. I'll be all for it right now. They are the fourth wild card team in the American League right now.
How many games back currently?
2.5 entering play today. 2.5 behind the Mariners. Another 4.5 behind Tampa. They're actually tied. They've played 2 more games than the Angels, but they're tied in terms of games back with the Angels at 2.5, and then the Rangers are another half a game behind that. So they are squarely in the mix. As frustrated as people may be with them, they're under 500 entering today. They've been inconsistent. The fielding's not good. The lineup has gone cold at times. They traded a cornerstone player. They can still make this a season. They can still absolutely get in the playoffs. And I'll say this, with the pitching they have, Garrett Crochet, Lucas Giolito throwing the way he is, let's say they add somebody at the deadline. I think they should focus on the lineup, but let's say they add somebody. Aroldis Chapman at the back end. You get in this thing. We saw it last year. Didn't the top seeds all lose in the first round, right?
Yeah, because that bye absolutely murders you.
It kills you. If you get in, anything can happen.
And the wild card's a place to be.
Yeah, and they're 2.5 games out of it.
And the thing is, with that comment during the hot dog eating contest, and I think that's why it's relevant to talk about Larry Lucino.
Yeah.
The second he heard that, he'd be making phone calls. We got to stop this. In a way of react to the public perception, but okay, enough talk, and let's put the action to it to stop being the butt of jokes, and let's make that move we were talking about.
Well, because it's not reacting to the public perception, it's reacting to why that's the public perception.
Exactly.
There's a difference. Do you just want to calm people down, or do you want to address the root of why people are fired up in the first place? And that's the crossroads they're at. Again, they're 2.5 out of a playoff spot. And I'm sorry, behind the Yankees, fine, whatever.
That's not a good team.
Behind the Tampa Bay Rays and the Seattle Mariners. This is the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox have the organizational resources, the organizational firepower to outmaneuver them. And by the way, the Los Angeles Angels as well, who they're tied with for that fourth wild card spot, first team out situation right now. They are in a spot where they absolutely can get in the playoffs. Roll your eyes all you want because of the way they've played. Some of this is the format. If they still had only 2 wild card teams, I don't know that we'd be talking about this way. But there's 3. They've ruined their playoffs. This is what it is. And they being Major League Baseball. So if you're going to be aggressive, go for it. Now's the time.
And this is a lineup when you look at it. And that's the frustrating part. You see the talent. You see the potential of the talent, too. We know what, and I don't think Jerod Mayo will ever be what he was last year, but he can come close to that in some capacity. He's a 5-tool player. He can be effective. He has a good bat. He's such a terror on the base path, and he's a good defender. It's Jarren Duran. We see the flashes for Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer. Marcelo Meyer's sick third baseman. That's not his primary position. And then you strike gold with a Abraham Toro, a Carlos Narvaez. Cedane Rafael, his bat has gotten better and better, and he continues to be the best defensive center fielder. This lineup needs that power bat that you hit second or third or fourth, that pitchers absolutely fear. And when you bring in an Alex Bregman, too, that can protect Bregman or Bregman protects that power bat. The starting pitching's there. They need an addition in the bullpen because guys like Greg Weisser are running out of gas. But this team is right there, both with the construction of the roster and the lineup, and literally in the standings.
Yeah, and now it's a matter of they're not there where they are right now, but they're in a spot where they can get there, and it's just a matter of they'll do it or not, and they have about a month here to do it, and they're showing those flashes. They showed it again yesterday. They'll take on the Nationals today at 4 o'clock. They'll be going for the series win because they put up 11 runs yesterday and an 11-2 win over the Washington Nationals. We'll touch a little bit on yesterday's game, and I do still want to get into the root of all of this that brought this whole conversation up, which is the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. I will do that as well. Long commercial-free segment coming up here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98. matter what game, it all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
3-1 coming. And he's going to take ball four. Very patient at bat. That'll force in another run. On ball four with the bases loaded, Anthony will score. Red Sox lead it 3-0. Nobody out there, reloaded. He goes up the middle for a base hit. Toro is in to score. Here comes Narvaez in to score. Trevor Story really hot with that bat. His second hit today. Red Sox ahead 5-0. Marcelo's 0 for 2. And now we'll add a base hit to that to drive in another run. Abreu will score. 8th RBI from Marcelo. 6-0 Boston. And that's hit toward the alley. That's into the gap. That's on the grass. That'll drop in. That'll score a run. Here comes Meyer. He's trying to score. The throw home will not get him. Jaron Duran bolsters the lead to 8-0. Line drive and a base hit center field. Red Sox just raking. Here comes Duran in to score to make it 9-0. Anthony shooting on down to third base. 9-zip ball.
Business is 11-2 enough of a gap of giving them the business?
That's standing on business. They did. They rallied. They exploded. Giolito is absolute nails.
This is what's so crazy to me.
That fifth inning.
Have they been the best team in baseball for the last month? No. But I think a lot of people expected the wheels to fall off when they traded Devers. And there's still, just in terms of the day-to-day product, there's still some exciting things happening with this team. There's been some very frustrating things, too. Don't get me wrong. The decision-making in the field on the base paths is still not there. But Roman Anthony's really hitting now. He was 2 for 3 yesterday with a couple of walks. He had a slow start. He's starting to get going. You mentioned Myers looked great in the field,
especially.
And he's hit a little bit. They've had these offensive explosive games. Narvaez, Abraham Toro are still hitting. They're still giving you something. They're still, through all the criticism, the 9 guys in uniform every day are still giving you a product you can watch. And credit to them, because I think a lot of teams, it would have gone off the rails. And maybe the culture in there isn't totally gone. It's not what it needs to be. But maybe it's not totally gone if they're still fighting like this.
That's what adds to the frustration. There's a potential, and we see it being met all the time in the lineup on the field. And when the baseball is good for the Red Sox, it's great.
Yeah.
It's just not consistent.
Right.
If they win today against the Nationals, that'll be 2 straight Series 1 against the Reds, an above 500 team when they took them on and came to Fenway. And the Nats, we're floating. Not great, not good. But that's still, you need to beat those teams. They came in I think 36-50. And that's the perspective you have. You're right in the thick of it. 2.5 games out of the final wild card spot. You're right there on 500. They get 3 games above and they fall below. But when it's good, when the pitching is rolling, when the lineup is hitting, and the defense is sound, it's why can this be consistent? And we don't know why. I mean, we know why. It's
right.
What are they teaching down in Worcester?
What are they not teaching down in Worcester?
Exactly.
I think is more what it's about. Let's go to Matt in Rhode Island. He has a thought on Craig Breslow and Larry Lucino. Matt, how you doing today?
Well, yeah. How you doing, guys?
Good.
Bartender, always good to see you. George, I like hearing you as well.
Thanks,
it's well documented. Theo and Larry Lucino had many dragouts. Theo was a young kid back then, and but he stood on ground. And I think Craig Breslow would cry, rest Larry Lucino's soul. He just wanted to win, like you guys were saying. But just let me digress here. Breslow actually made a good trade last year when he got rid of Nick York for Quinn Priester, who was a first-round pick, 18th pick selected with Pittsburgh. Came here as at 23 at the time. Pitched the last game last year. One run, 3 hits, 5 innings at Fenway against the Rays. Okay, great. And what happened? They plugged him into the computer system, and they said analytically he wasn't going to throw the slur with as much movement, and then they get rid of him. You got to look with your eyes, guys. They got to see with their eyes what's going on. You see what he's doing in Milwaukee. I hate to be 2020, but I mean, you identified the player in a trade, and you don't even you don't even let it play out. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Matt. The Quinn Priester one is weird, and I'm surprised it hasn't been talked about more, especially, and I guess some of their starting pitchers are coming around, and maybe that helps. Like you mentioned, they traded Nick York, who was a decently high draft pick, for Quinn Priester, who's a starting pitcher, showed some flashes. And then this year, do you remember back in the spring they were talking about they had too much pitching depth? right there. Like, it's a logjam. So they gave him away. I mean, really, they more or less gave him away. I think they got a draft pick for him, which they're still to make. But the player they got, Yorfany Rodriguez, is still in the minors. Meanwhile, Quinn Priester is crushing it.
Good 3.6 ERA with the Brewers
for Milwaukee in his first full major league season.
Too.
Yeah, so that's another
an arm they can use as their 4 starter, because right now it's Walker Buehler today at 4.05.
Yeah,
fantastic. Guy looks lost, and a Quinn Priester they could use, and that's what is so perplexing. And
they can't. Cora was asked after the last start if they would take Buehler out of the rotation, and I do wonder if he'd get a look in the bullpen before they ultimately part ways with him. But Cora said not anytime soon. They're not going to pull him out of the rotation. I wonder if some of that is simply just they need the bodies. They need an arm who can eat up multiple innings as much as it is we're going to let this guy pitch through it, because that pitching depth evaporated like that. This is another long-running problem for them, not having enough starting pitching depth.
Quinn Priester,
yep,
in June, 1 start of 3 earned runs. That was the most. He went 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. 6-1. 6-1. 3 1/3. Already got lit up. 3 earned runs. 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. Like, that's something they can use. And when it is a look at Buehler, they need the bodies.
Yeah.
That's a good call. Along with him opening up, calling you the Barth tender. The Barth ender. Love that. But it is okay if you're going to make these swings and you're going to make these trades, at least let it marinate. In this case, it being a Quinn Priester. If you're going to make that move and you see something. You know what stood out to me about Lucas Giolito, too? How nails he's been? No sweeper. He never literally
not doing that thing.
He literally doesn't have a sweeper. Looking on Baseball Savant on his page. It's 4-seam heavy. It's all that. No sweeper. Everything that Andrew Bailey preaches for his pitchers, Lucas Giolito goes out and he did not adopt a sweeper, and he's just been dominating. Now, there's other guys like Brian Bale's been great. Give credit to Andrew Bailey there. But there is that of watch what's on the field, and if it's not someone that they're going, well, he's not throwing the sweeper, we need that to work. We want that. And until he does that, we're not. No, they're letting Lucas Giolito go be who he is. They're letting Crochet go be who he is. That's the part where there's numbers. I talk about analytics with efficiency. I understand it to an extent. But it's the same thing. You don't love music to stare at the music notes. You love music because you listen to a song and you get lost in it. In sports, you watch the athletes on the field, you go, man, that guy, that gal, they dominate. That's sports.
So there's an old Tom Curran quote that I love that he attributes to Aqib Talib, but Aqib Talib never said it's actually Tom's quote, but it sounds like something Aqib Talib would say. People who dry hump statistics probably would rather read sheet music than listen to the song.
Yeah.
And that's
perfect.
It's so true. I go back to that all the time. It's so true. You know what? One analytic I did like yesterday, though.
What's that?
Was on my TV. That was dogs per minute.
Oh, my God.
Which was in the hot dog eating contest, which we have to go to. You want to talk about consistent winning. I'll show you somebody, even after he was forced to take a year off last year, came back, didn't just win, but dominated. We're talking hot dogs. The hot dog eating contest. We'll do that next. 90 seconds. No commercials, just the headlines here on the Sports Hub.
From the Telford Type Studios, it's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox about an hour away from first pitch, looking for their second win in as many days in the nation's capital as they take on the Nationals. It is Walker Buehler getting the start. The lineup behind him. Nate Eaton hits leadoff. He's playing third base. Romy Gonzalez batting second, playing second. Roman Anthony's your right fielder hitting third. Rob Refsnyder hits cleanup as a designated hitter against the left-handed pitcher for Washington. Carlos Narvaez catching. Trevor Story at short. Jaron Duran in left. Abraham Toro at first base. And Ceddanne Rafaela in center field round out the lineup. Before the game, a couple updates from Alex Cora. Said Masataka Yoshida will be activated during the Red Sox upcoming homestand, but not exactly sure when. Tanner Houck still has another rehab start to make. The New England Revolution will take on the Portland Timbers tonight at 10:30. You can catch the broadcast right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Former Bruins forward Lyndon Byers has passed away at the age of 61. The team putting out a statement saying that they are deeply saddened by the passing of Lyndon Byers, calling him a fan favorite in his 9 seasons with the black and gold. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does this sound like you? Visit catcheslaw.com. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 4 o'clock.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 985sportshub.com. Boston sports. Yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
But here he stands, quiet of talking, still of motion, content of wearing. Shy of a god, perhaps, but more than a man. With 70.5 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes, the Nathan's famous 4th of July champion of the world, Joey Chestnut!
Okay, so before we get to Joey Chestnut, and it's Alex Barth and George Balekji with you on the Sports Hub, take you up until 5 o'clock. You want to call in 617-779-0985. Before we get to Joey Chestnut, if you watch the hot dog eating contest, the guy in the straw hat, the announcer with these like big, grandiose introductions, his name is George Shea. He's actually the head of a PR firm in New York.
Great name.
The brother of Rich Shea, co-presidents of the Major League.
Brother of the People's Champ and I, too. We're all Georges. We're all related.
George Shea rules. We need George Shea announcing more sporting events.
He was put on this earth to do that.
Right. He's fantastic at it, and he delivers every year. So that's George Shea. That's one champion. The other champion, Joey Chestnut. I think it was the 17th win, right? 70 and a half hot dogs, which apparently counts as an even number. So my bet cashed.
You sicko.
Joey Chestnut to eat an even number of hot dogs.
What's the thought process? Odd or even? Do you flip a coin before you?
I went back and looked at his. So I looked at the over and I was like, I feel bad. I doubt him, but it was.
What was the total?
71 and a half.
Ooh.
Is what I saw. I think some people had it at 70 and a half. I saw it at 71 and a half, and I was like, he did 60 the last few times, and he was out last year, and it's hot out, and like, all right, I'm not going to do the over. And then I saw that other bet, and I'm like, let me go back through. And I think like the majority, not all, but more often than not, he eats an even number of dogs. And if you watch him eat, he eats 2 at a time. So I was like, all right, I'll go even.
That's a man that knows the tape and knows the analytics.
That's right. And they originally announced it at 71, so I thought I lost. I actually just looked during the break and realized they changed the number. 70 and a half for Joey Chestnut. So you're not a fan of the hot dog eating contest, George?
I'm just not going to stop what I'm doing and make sure I'm watching that. If I catch it, cool. If I see the clips on Twitter, awesome. I'm not going to go out of my way. And it's kind of tough to watch. Like, that's a lot. That's gluttony. Oh, and I eat a ton, dude. Trust me.
I love it. Because you never know what's going to happen. Do you remember a couple of years ago, some fan rushed the stage and Joey Chestnut choked him out mid-eating? That year, I was already down at the beach, so I didn't see it. I had to learn about that on Twitter.
Look at that.
Shy of a god, perhaps, but more than a man.
Like, it's just
amazing.
It's so much. It's so stupid. It's so great.
And that's fair. I don't knock you for it at all. Because that you said it, the second one, it's so stupid, but you're stupid. It's your type of stupid. You're not
right.
Stupid. It's your special stupid.
Yeah.
And you love it. You know what? Could you imagine this, though? So in his year away, Patrick Bertoletti, he was a defending champ last year. I'm looking at the results. Joey Chestnut beat him by 24 dogs.
And the spread on that, by the way, was 15 and a half. The gap between Chestnut and Bertoletti.
If you're Patrick Bertoletti, like, you dedicate your life to this stuff. Like, it is full-on training, nonstop competition. Imagine you dedicate your life to competitive eating. And when the guy comes back, he beats you by 24 dogs.
It's like facing Tyson in his prime.
It's not even close.
Demoralizing.
Exactly. And then you know what you have to do next weekend? You got to go somewhere and have, like, that wouldn't sound that bad, a Philly cheesesteak eating contest. You got to do it again. And you just got to hope Joey doesn't roll up. Exactly. You work your entire life at something. It's honestly like Jordan in the 90s. Yeah, I'll go play baseball for a few years, whether it's gambling or not. I'm going to do that. And then he comes back and he wins.
I said this to somebody yesterday. That title last year is like, it was the Suns, right? Or the Rockets?
Rockets. Hakeem Olajuwon got his too.
In the 90s with no Joey Chestnut. And then some. And this is the other reason it's fun. Because I'm hanging out with other people who are sports fans, and we're talking sports. And we were watching the Red Sox game. We were talking about the Red Sox. And the hot dog eating contest comes on, and we go right to that. And somebody tries to tell me, Joey Chestnut's not the GOAT. It really was Kobayashi. It's just a different era. Kobayashi never ate more than 50 dogs at the event, and that was in 12 minutes, not 10. I don't try to tell me Kobayashi. I'm sorry. Is Joe Montana really the GOAT over Tom Brady because it was a different era? Kobayashi had his run. It was nice. It was fine. Joey Chestnut is the GOAT. That should be undisputed. Just when you think you've run out of sports debate topics, somebody comes along with, well, actually, Kobayashi's the GOAT. Joey Chestnut ran him out of Coney Island.
He did.
Okay? You can't call him the GOAT when he got run out of Coney Island by Joey Chestnut.
That's what stood out to me was Kobayashi was the guy when we were coming
right.
up. And then Chestnut rolls onto the scene and just literally push him out of the league. Kobayashi went AWOL. You remember the one time where didn't he try to storm the hot dog eating contest? Wasn't there something there? I think he decided to not compete and try to return. He literally, again, talk about demoralizing, talk about heartbreaking. Kobayashi was the king, and then Joey Chestnut
showed up and
broke all his records.
And then I forgot about this last year because Chestnut couldn't take part in it because he had a sponsorship deal with another hot dog company. They went head-to-head last year, Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi. Joey Chestnut, and it was different kinds of hot dogs. Joey Chestnut ate 83 hot dogs. Kobayashi only ate 66.
Come on.
It's 20 better than the next closest guy who's the GOAT.
What's the challenge? It's I think, can you have 3 hot dogs in a minute? People, that's a thing, or in 2 minutes.
So we did this.
Try that.
This was way back when we were kids. One year we did this where we watched the hot dog eating contest. We got all excited, and then we wanted to do one, but we weren't going to grill a bunch of hot dogs or whatever. So it was just who could eat 2 hot dogs the fastest. I lost, but it's I don't know. It's a fun event. It's a fun event. I enjoy it. It's a dumb thing to do while you're waiting for people to show up for the 4th of July, and you can bet on it, which is fun.
What if you had to pick a food? You woke up and you said, a year from now, I'm going to train. I'm going to take a weekend off, and I'm going to eat this food at this contest. And let's put it on your home turf, right?
Yeah.
It's in Nantasket Beach. What would the food be for you?
Ooh.
You have to eat it, and a lot of it in 10 minutes. You can't get sick of it, but you could eat it
So
quick.
Not necessarily my favorite food, but if I had to eat the most of a food at once, and I'm in this to win. I'm not in this to enjoy what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Sushi does not fill me up. I can eat sushi.
The sodium after. Ooh.
I probably wouldn't put it in the soy sauce. I probably wouldn't put it in the soy sauce if I was doing this. And very basic stuff, right? Not spice. I'm not doing it. I like the spicy rolls, but again, I'm in this to win it. So just very basic pieces of sushi.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about sushi. It does not fill me up. I can eat and eat and eat when it comes to sushi. The timer might be tough because then you get into lockjaw and stuff, but I think if I had to eat a food as fast as possible, and it'd be easy. It's not messy. It's not, right. You throw it right in there.
The numbers would be insane. It'd be pushing.
What would you do?
Sushi eating contest? I love that I asked you this, but I didn't think of one myself.
I do that all the time.
Right? Because I think
we're on the clock now. You got to come to the plate with something.
I'm going to go dessert.
What kind of dessert?
And I'm going to go cake.
See, that'll fill you up, though.
I'm going to go... All right, I'm cheating a little bit. I'm going to go tiramisu. Pounds of tiramisu. That'd be a tough measurement, though. What do you start? Do you start with 10 pounds of tiramisu? And as I'm scooping it out, whatever the scale says at the end, Is there a tiramisu eating? There has to be.
So, I'm pulling it up here.
If I had to pick a food, you picked a main course, man, I can't go chicken wings. I don't clean them up as smooth as other people.
Chicken wings would be hard.
I would go tacos.
So there is a tiramisu record.
What's the record?
So here, Major League Eating, they have other events. They do this all year. This is their Super Bowl, their Daytona 500, their whatever. The tiramisu record. You want to guess? 6 minutes, and it's measured in pounds.
It is. All right, 6 minutes in pounds. Tiramisu's light. Oh my God! So how much? 4.2 pounds.
4 pounds.
Wow.
Tim Janis in 2005, and then what did I say? Sushi.
Yeah.
Nigiri sushi. 6 minutes. You want to guess? It's the same guy actually as both these records.
What's nigiri sushi? What's the like?
I think that's just like. Is that with the rice? I always forget. It's not a roll. It's the piece with the rice. It's the one slice with the rice.
Is this pounds as well?
This is pieces.
Pieces.
In 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
I would not get close to this. I think I would, if I was just against friends, I might have a shot. I would not get close to this.
I'm going on the scale of hot dog because Joey Chestnut did 70 hot dogs, right?
Yeah.
So sushi, I'm going to go 230.
141.
Oh my God.
But okay, but the hot dog contest is 10 minutes. This was 6 minutes.
Oh.
So you had the right idea.
Kind of double it in a way.
You want some more of these?
Yeah.
George, back there, you want to do some more of these? So I do this every year. I make people sit and try to guess the records because I just have fun with this. I'll find some of my favorites. We'll roll through this for Major League Eating. You can play along, 617-779-0985. Or if you think you could set any of these records, you sickos out there, what are some of the MLE records that could fall? Who has the Ted Williams 400 season of Major League Eating, and who has the more reachable records? We'll do that next here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sport. Sports 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, I'm no George Shea, but let's talk about some champions here. We were talking about this before the break. If you were in a competitive eating contest, what would your go-to food be, and how well do you think you would do? I'm going with sushi. George is going with tiramisu.
I'm going to regret that.
And
after.
we found. Do you think you could eat 4 pounds of tiramisu?
No.
In whatever it was, 6 minutes? No, I could not eat 141 pieces of sushi. That shows you these guys are truly, and men and women actually, are truly champions.
As I ripped on Patrick Bertoletti, second place, 46.5. Third, 45.5. Jeffrey Esper, 43.
It was close.
That's the actual, that's the competition. Normal human.
Because
we are witnessing an icon in Joey Chestnut.
So I have some of the other Major League eating records here, and we're going to go through it. You and producer George, the people's champ. We didn't get your food.
Oh, yeah.
So what are you eating in the competition?
That's tough because as a skinny man that I am, I could probably down mac and cheese and go heavy, but that's something that I can probably eat easy, or like Fruity Pebbles, the cereal.
Fruity Pebbles, all right.
I'm a big cereal guy.
That's a better answer. Mac and cheese is going to hurt.
Mac and cheese, aftermath.
I'll give you another heavy one here. We'll start off. So I'm going to give you some of the world records. You try to guess. This is a Joey Chestnut record. He doesn't have all these, but he has a lot of them. Hard-boiled eggs. How many hard-boiled eggs in 8 minutes? What do you think the record is there?
I'm thinking one sitting I could have 3 eggs, right? 4 eggs if I'm feeling funky. 6 minutes?
6 minutes.
I'm putting a number out. No, he had 70.5 dogs. 82.
82. We're going to go close without going over. George?
I'm going to go into the hundreds with that. Just deductive reasoning. Let's do 112.
You're both under. 141 hard-boiled eggs in 8 minutes.
Dude, again, the gas.
That's a violent one.
You're smelling the hard-boiled eggs, 140 plus, and then the gas after. Ooh.
All right. How about, let's take a little trip over to the north end. Cannolis.
Ooh.
This is not a Joey Chestnut episode. This is somebody named Marcos Owens.
I wanted a vowel at the end there.
It characterizes this as large cannolis. I don't know what that means specifically, but in your mind, large cannolis, 6 minutes.
It's like a Bova's cannoli, 6 minutes.
So it says it's at the San Gennaro Festival. That's in New York, right? San Gennaro Festival. So think large New York cannoli.
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Again, I'm thinking how quick, how many I can eat in one sitting. I could have 2 of those.
Well, remember, sometimes they'll do 2 at once.
Yeah. I'm gonna go.
You're not doing this to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
I like cannoli. I could not. Cannoli's a tough one. This is a sneaky hard one.
65.
65, George.
In 6 minutes.
George behind the glass.
I will go over once again, but under 100 with this. I think this one will be hard to kind of triple digits. In 6 minutes, 89.
Now you guys are psyched out from the last one. 34.
Come on.
Anybody out there think they could beat that?
That's a lot.
How about James Webb, who has the glazed donut record? 3-ounce glazed donuts in 8 minutes.
Does he dunk it? Do they have milk? Is it like the hot dog eating contest?
They must have some sort of liquid. This was recent. This was June 7th, 2024. So this record was just set. 3-ounce glazed donuts in 8 minutes.
This sounds like a lot of fun. 8 minutes, 3-ounce glazed donut. I'm thinking how fast I could have a donut. I'm going 87.
87, George.
I just keep wanting to go higher than you.
We got to flip up the order because it's highest without going over.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, well, let's go with 120 for these glazed donuts in 8 minutes. It probably has to be more.
You guys got to bring it down a little bit. 70.
Okay.
That's less than 10 donuts per minute.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay.
That's a lot.
This is going to be a tough one to guess because the measurement's kind of specific. 32-ounce bowls of mayonnaise. How many 32-ounce bowls of mayonnaise in 8 minutes?
Bowls of mayo?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oleg Zarinsky.
Yeah, that would be the guy that has this. Bowls of mayo.
Yeah.
32 ounce. That's huge.
Yeah.
In 8 minutes?
It's actually a pretty low number.
In 8 minutes?
In 8 minutes.
Pretty low for
I just think
it's
funny that this is a competition.
Dude, this is disgusting. 7. I'm going really
7,
low.
George.
Nice. I was thinking under 10 as well. Let's do 9.
4.
Yeah. I was thinking 5 originally. I wanted to go up to 7. That's
all right.
All right, come on. If you do that, with all due respect, you need help. That much mayo?
Or gamble on it.
All right, here's something you might be more familiar with. You guys Taco Bell fans? I think you said Taco Bell's your go-to.
Yes.
My son, like, once a week wants to beg Taco Bell for dinner.
All right, so the
You're a
soft...
good dad.
Are you familiar with
I
the
tried.
soft shell beef taco?
Of course, that's like
At
the
Taco Bell.
foundation of everyone's childhood.
So this is a Joey Chestnut record. How many of those did he eat in 10 minutes? This was in 2011.
There's a lot of tortillas. That's a lot of carbs, but it's thin. I'm going to go 131.
George behind the glass.
All right, excellent. I'm going to go under you for once here, George. We'll do 105 in 10 minutes.
53?
What?
Wow, way off my
Do you think you could do that?
That's so much. That's a contest I'd be in.
You'd be in that?
That'd
You think
be-
you get to
yes.
53 and
Soft shell.
You do 5 a minute? 5 tacos
No,
a minute?
I cannot get to 53.
Okay.
But I would do that contest.
Okay. All right. How about this one? Jeffrey Espert, local, Oxford, Mass.
Yep.
I was looking for one of his records. Buffalo chicken wings. Now, this one's 12 minutes. This is a little longer.
Is this an
It doesn't
individual
say
wings?
drums or flats. It just says buffalo chicken wings in 12 minutes.
I mean, a normal order's a dozen. You could get 20 if you want. And how many minutes again? Sorry?
12. So this is one of the longer ones.
He had 46 and a half dogs, so I'll go 41 wings.
41 wings. George in the back.
Wow, this does involve some deductive reasoning. I need Milliken over here, the buffalo chicken expert for sure. 12 minutes, buffalo chicken. Not sure if it's flats.
Or they could be boneless. Like, I don't know. They could be boneless.
Right, my goodness. Let's just go with an even 100.
I'll say this. They might be boneless based on the number. I'm going to let you guys guess again. You said 100. You said...
40. I said 41 or something.
It's high, right?
Neither of you are halfway there.
What?
242.
250.
281 buffalo chicken wings in 12 minutes.
That has to be boneless. But that's how can it be boneless?
It has to be boneless.
But how can it be boneless?
So I kept scrolling down. There is a chicken wing long form record, which is 30 minutes, that Joey Chestnut has. That's 182.
That's
so,
boneless.
Those have to be different wings. Okay, here we go. 5 minutes. Quarter-pound sticks of butter.
Oh. What kind of butter are we talking? Are we talking
salted butter. It says salted butter.
And what's the time frame?
I love
5 minutes. This is a shorter one. 5 minutes.
Quarter-pound sticks of butter.
Yeah.
5 minutes. Dude, that's nasty, man. I will go 30 sticks.
30 sticks, George.
Nice. 42.
7. This is one of my favorite records. I'm not going to make you guys guess because I need to watch this one to see how they qualify it. They have a record that just says buffet. Somebody ate 5.5 pounds of buffet food in 12 minutes, whatever that means.
Is that at like a Golden Corral? Is that at the Nines? Like, where is that? That's a what?
All right, let's localize this a little bit. How about it's 4th of July, beautiful day in New England. You know what a lot of people are probably having for dinner this weekend?
Cheeseburgers.
Lobster.
Oh,
cheeseburgers too, but lobster.
Yep.
So this says from the shell. I'm assuming this means that the lobsters are shelled for them. How many lobsters worth of meat did Sonia Thomas eat in 12 minutes on August 13th, 2005 when she set the record? I do not, just based on the number, I'm guessing she was not actively shelling the lobster while doing this. How many lobsters worth of meat in 12 minutes?
Lobster's worth of meat is a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
In 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Always need a reminder on the time because I have ADHD. Lobster's worth of meat. She's not shelling it.
If she was shelling it, this is insanely impressive.
37.
George in the back.
I was thinking in terms of like pounds and stuff like that.
If you want to give me pounds, they have both lobsters and pounds.
All right. Yeah, so I'm thinking pound-wise, 7 pounds.
44 lobsters, 11.3 pounds of meat.
All right, we were both good there.
So you were both pretty close. But again, if
44 lobsters.
I would be more impressed shelling 44 pounds of meat, or 44 lobsters and eating them.
Dude, 11 pounds of food. That's so much.
All right, you mentioned hamburgers. Quarter-pound burgers.
Cool.
Don Lerman has the record in 10 minutes.
No cheese?
No
Just burger?
cheese.
Break them in half, snap them in half. 10 minutes. I'm going... Is that 5 burgers a minute? I'll go 60. No.
This one's actually surprisingly low.
Yeah.
There's got to be different rules for some of these.
If guys in the hot dog eating contest can't even get past 50, the normal human, no way a burger. I'll go 33.
George?
27.
11.
What? Yeah, quarter pound.
There's not a lot of context here on the website. All right, everybody likes chicken nuggets, right?
Hell yeah.
We did wings before. We didn't know bone-in, boneless. How about chicken nuggets? Sonia Thomas, again, has the chicken nugget eating record in 5 minutes.
11 pounds of lobster in 12. Chicken nuggets in 5. Wait, is it individual chicken nuggets? Or
I would assume it says short form, whatever that means. Chicken nuggets, short form.
Chicken nuggets in 5 minutes. I'm going to go with... She had a lot of lobster. I'm going to go with 42.
George.
Chicken nuggets.
Shout out to Big T. I'm telling you, Milliken, I think he has a shot in some of these records, but this is chicken nuggets to be sure, right?
Yeah.
I can give you pounds?
No, number of chicken nuggets.
Low.
Number of chicken nuggets.
Okay, number of chicken. And what was the time frame?
5 minutes.
Wow. 200.
80.
Yeah.
You guys kind of split the difference there.
The second I said 42, I'm like, wait, it's chicken nuggets. Like, think of what a serving is at Chick-fil-A.
Milliken might be in on that one.
He loves his chicken nuggets.
We got to prep him.
He's more of a tenders guy, so I don't know where you count the difference between nuggets and tenders.
Yeah.
But he is. I'm trying to find one good one here to close out on. You guys have any recommendations? I can control F this. Twinkies. This is a good one. Joey Chestnut. This is a Joey Chestnut record. How many Twinkies did Joey Chestnut eat in 6 minutes on October 26, 2013?
Twinkies in 6 minutes.
Oh, there's also Peeps.
I haven't had a Twinkie and don't even remember my last one. 6 minutes, Twinkies. It's Joey Chestnut. Again, is this lighter or heavier than a hot dog? 83.
83. George in the back.
Oh my goodness, right? Yeah, you could think that you could shove so many in your mouth at the same time. My goodness. I'm going to right around that ballpark. I have it 89.
121.
Come on.
In
when I don't
6
get
minutes. That's nothing. Matt Stoney ate 255 Peeps in 5 minutes.
God, help him. That's 2 Peeps in all of Easter's time. That's what I have. That guy, 255?
In 5 minutes.
Oh.
All right, maybe we'll get back to this later. There's a bunch of other ones. There's waffles.
I lost my
Waffle
appetite.
House waffles.
Ooh. These aren't that big.
They're not that big.
See, but that's a context.
Pickles, but that's in pounds. The pounds ones are weird because they're harder to guess.
Pickles would be a fun one.
Yeah, but I wish it had the
Snap 'em.
number of pickles. Haggis.
For those driving and listening, like Barth was like visibly frustrated. Like, why don't you have the number of pickles in pounds?
I got one more for you. How many strips of bacon did that Matt Stoney guy eat in 5 minutes?
Ooh, all right, hit 255 Peeps. 255 burgers, 55 fries.
That would be a good eating contest.
55 burgers, 55 fries.
Yes.
Just go on that. I would go for strips of bacon in 5 minutes.
In Daytona, Florida.
280 strips of bacon.
He did this in the middle of February, too. 280, George.
I love bacon. Yeah, I'm going to go high, and I'm going to assume that these are little strips of bacon. Let's do 3.
It's Smithfield bacon.
Like he knows what type that
I'm
is.
still going high. I'm going 310.
182.
Ooh.
But it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's a lot. All right. Maybe we'll get back to these in a little bit. In the meantime, we'll take your call 617-779-0985 as we keep it going here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
So I sometimes I do that with my friends. Like we're sitting around on the beach and we just watch the hot dog eating contest, and I'll pull up the records. Oh, which one's got broken this year? Anybody want to guess?
You're watching it.
No,
and then your
everybody
friends
else watches.
Barth.
That's the price for spending 4th of July at my place and having a place to park and all that. We didn't even get to the timed ones. Like, how long do you think it took Nick Ray to eat 50 hard-boiled eggs?
50. I think I jotted down the record, right? So
4 minutes. I'm just going to guess 4 minutes.
3 minutes and 4 seconds.
That's disgusting.
My goodness.
James in the car wants to weigh in on this. The subject line just says 11 pounds of cheesecake. There's no context to this. So did you eat 11 pounds of cheesecake? Do you think you could eat 11 pounds of cheesecake? James, what happened here?
No, this was Sonia Thomas. She ate 11 pounds of cheesecake in 12 minutes.
Wow.
And this was like 2 decades ago or something. I remember hearing that, and I was like, holy crap, that's insane. 11 pounds in 12 minutes.
She's a legend. Thanks for the call, James. She's like up there. She's I think she's like the female Joey Chestnut, basically. I know there's
I need a face
Nikki Sudo's the one that's won it the last few years, but
Yep, I remember Sonia Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, like Joey Chestnut, very in shape guy. Sonia Thomas,
they're all in shape. They're all in really good shape.
Not all of them. There are people up
the ones
there.
that like the high level ones are all. So there's some bigger guys, but they never do that well.
Exactly. And I think it's the full commitment. They're just like, hey, I'm big. I can eat a lot. Sonia Thomas, Kobayashi, I'm going to say his name once, that's it. Joey Chestnut.
I mean, Kobayashi was good. I'm not saying Kobayashi wasn't good, but don't tell me he's better than Joey Chestnut.
They have a full commitment to the game.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't care if it's competitive eating. I don't care if it's basketball. Any sport, there's that full commitment, and you see the difference between the professionals and the people that are just talented.
Like, you talk about the great champions of our time, right? Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant,
Serena,
Tiger Woods. These people are all wired differently. They're all a little tapped in like a good way, right?
Have to be.
I think Joey Chestnut's got that same thing, but he just has a different stomach.
Dare I say, if that's you as competitive eater, you're the most tapped, respectfully. But you wake up, you're like, I'm going to eat as much as possible.
Right. And the crazy thing is he's a vegetarian.
Is he?
Yeah, he was at one point.
That's why there was that entire turmoil last year when he signed on with the veggie dogs or vegan dogs. Yeah,
because that was his sponsor and they weren't happy.
But that would make sense.
Like, I guess that was an urban legend. He's not a vegetarian. That was an urban legend. But he had a sponsorship deal with like Impossible Meat.
But that would
and Nathan's wasn't happy.
But that makes sense anyway. Hey, I'm a vegetarian, and then hey, when I got to turn it on, I'll eat whatever. Makes sense,
right?
Whatever gets you to tap into your potential. Good for Joey Chestnut.
Where do you rank him among like the great champions of our era?
Of all champions,
yeah. I mean, do you put him on that level?
I mean, if he is in the game, he wins. He has to be number one.
He is. I put him on that pedestal.
How many seasons did Tom Brady play? 24?
Yes. Well, 22 because he didn't. There's the first year in New England, and then he tore his ACL. Yeah, he played 22 full seasons.
He only won 30%, 33% of the time. Joey Chestnut's like 99.9% of the time he's winning.
There is a stat that I like about Brady that is, it's not winning the Super Bowl, but the amount of times he made the conference championship. I forget what the exact percentage is. He made the conference championship percentage-wise. Like that percentage is higher than the career record for completion percentage. So if you want to do very basic math, and the nerds hate it when I do this, but causation does not, or correlation does not equal causation, whatever. Tom Brady made the conference championship at a higher rate than any quarterback, including Tom Brady, completed passes, and that's discounting 2000 and 2008. So it's just the years he was the primary starter.
That's nuts. And that's his winning. That's him tapping.
You got to be tapped. You got to be different. Tom Brady, different. Tiger Woods, different. Joey Chestnut, different.
Serena, Lewis Hamilton. It goes on and on. Djokovic, Federer. That's Chestnut has to be on that Mount Rushmore.
But there's always like people thought Kobayashi was the guy until Chestnut came along. So what will we ever get? Well, you won by 24 dogs yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever get a true competitor? Do you think we'll ever get a Patrick Mahomes? And look, Patrick Mahomes is not better than Tom Brady, but he forced the conversation. He did. I'll say that. Do we ever get a Patrick Mahomes to Joey Chestnut's Tom Brady? Is he just going to retire and it's not going to be close?
Chestnut's 41. How much does he have left?
Some of these guys do it like into their 50s.
Yeah.
So I think he can still go another decade at a high
Oh,
level.
I don't think he's anywhere. 70 and a half dogs, Barth. He's nowhere close to.
Well, and the crazy thing is, too, so he was out last year, right? But the year before that, 62, and some of this is on weather, 62 and 23, 63 and 22. He did set the record of 76. He was regularly in the 70s before that, but he dipped the last 2 years, took a year off, came back, and got back to 70. So he might be on the upswing. The year off might have helped him.
Years from now, we're going to look back and say, you remember 2024 when Chestnut was banned? Best thing for his career.
Best thing that could have happened.
Like Rodgers having no, that didn't help out Aaron Rodgers at all.
Like Jordan
fire.
retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he came back refreshed, new hunger for the game, wanting to get after it. When everyone thought they were catching up, Joey Chestnut was just letting them be.
All right, we got a little Red Sox news here that's coming in the last half an hour, a little bit of an update from Alex Cora. I think we should get to this because maybe this shapes their plans at the deadline. It's one position that there's been a lot talked about. There's been a lot of controversy with this position for the Red Sox. Really, two, that this guy could play. And how's this going to work out? We'll get to that next, coming up here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5.
617-779-0985. So little Red Sox breaking news. I don't know, George the People's Champ. This wasn't sounder worthy, right? Did I shortchange the sounder?
No, not for the breaking news. Yeah,
right.
You wouldn't.
If they had activated him today, I might have had
right, maybe, yeah,
because he's been gone for so long. Let's not forget, Masataka Yoshida. Actually, he had a good spring, right? He was tearing it up in the spring, although tearing it up is a relative term for when he was playing. He wasn't playing a ton. He's dealing with shoulder injury, couldn't throw. He's been able to hit this whole time. Or most of this time.
He's been ghosted on the IL.
But right, he can't throw, so they left him on the IL, even though the thought was he would DH. Then last week he starts rehab assignments. We see him in Worcester. He's playing first base, which he's usually an outfielder. He's never played before. Also, 5'8" first baseman is very unheard of. Matt McCarthy compared it to Will Campbell's arms. It's a bit much, but I see where you're coming from.
Look, I'm all for the short kings.
Yeah.
Not meant to be a first base.
Not at first base.
And a guy that also had
big guy at first base.
And also a guy that is suspect defensively too. And now you're going to put him at first?
Well, I think he's more suspect throwing, right, than fielding.
Yeah.
So I'd rather him there than at third when we know they'll put people wherever. It doesn't really matter to them. But Alex Cora telling reporters before the game that he has a couple more rehab games. Yoshida does, but they expect to activate him during the upcoming homestand. So they'll return from this trip to Washington. They'll be back home.
Rockies for 3.
They play they're off on they play the Rockies on Monday. So it starts on Monday. They have the Rockies for 3, and then they have the Rays for 4 before the All-Star break. That'll take them right up to the All-Star break. So we'll see him at some point. I'm reading here from Chris Cotillo from Mass Live. Cora told reporters that these upcoming rehab games, Yoshida will DH one of them, play the outfield in the other one. So he's working at first base, but not during games. How does this change the dynamic, George? Because this guy's back. He's a consistent bat, not a heavy bat, not a guy that's going to hit for a ton of power, but he puts the ball in play consistently. We talked about the lack of consistency that's been an issue with this team, especially in the lineup. He does maybe take up that DH spot, which Craig Breslow said he wanted flexibility with. Is he back to help? Is this maybe a showcase for the deadline? What do you make of Yoshida coming back, and what do you think the ripple effect's going to be on the Red Sox lineup?
That last part is the most intriguing. Could it be a showcase for the deadline as that approaches? I mean, when you get a Masataka Yoshida back, it is a DH, 15 home runs, 85 RBI, 285 batting average, just a sub 800 OPS.
Yep.
That's not what you want in your everyday DH, but that's a consistent bat that they need in the lineup.
They need that bat in the lineup, honestly, wherever they can get it at this point.
If he's back, he's your DH. Okay, so right back at you, Barth, what's your outfield? Because are you going to bench Roman Anthony right now with how hot he's been? He's the DH. Are you going to bench Willie Abreu? He has all these home runs. Are you going to bench Dane Rafaela? No, he's the best center fielder. Okay, then what do you do with Jarren Duran?
You didn't even get to Jarren Duran there.
And there you go. And that's why.
So
because if he's not your DH,
yeah,
or if he is your DH, who are you benching from the outfield?
Well, no, if he's your DH, you don't have to bench any outfielders.
You have Willier, Roman, Sedane, and Jarren Duran.
I think they'd probably either bench Rafael or maybe move him into the infield. He's the odd man out there. At least in the short term, where the other thing is.
But then you're taking away the best defensive center fielder in the game. The catch he had yesterday over his shoulder.
You are.
Randy Moss over Darrell Revis-esque.
They don't care about defense. So they may not care about that. The other thing is, so I kind of mentioned tongue-in-cheek showcase for the deadline with Yoshida himself.
But there's weight there. It could be.
Well, he's got that big contract, but...
And he's not a Breslow guy. He was a Hein
He's
Bloom
not a
signing.
Breslow guy. So maybe it's him, or what's probably more realistic, I should have gone right too, but is this the setup for Jarren Duran to get traded at the deadline, which there's been plenty of rumblings about? Is that the move? It's not you're benching Jarren Duran. You're setting up to trade him for either an infield bat or maybe a pitcher.
If Masataka can get you the job done at DH, which you want to rotate, as Breslow said, and he proves he can be a DH, you could move Roman Anthony to left, which was the position he was developed at the minor league level. And then Jarren Duran, the guy that's been rumored in trades with the Padres last season, again this past season, was a leadoff hitter, has been moved around the lineup, and hasn't even come close to his play last year, but also been up and down. Jarren Duran, in a way, would seem like it. A guy that is older, 29, right around then. A guy that they've gone into arbitration with but isn't locked up long-term and will get paid. I don't want to see that move made because to have another Jerod Durant come back, you have to pay $15, $18 million a year.
Yeah.
When you can agree with him to a deal, an extension right now. But I don't know how they're thinking this and how they're approaching this. I think the odd man out, when you look at the outfield, I legitimately think it is Jerod Durant. Willie Abreu, not even 2 years of service time. Rafael's extended. Roman Anthony, they're not moving him. And then Masataka is your DH. That's still not the lineup I want, though.
Well, the other thing here, too, is if you trade Jerod Durant, and some of this is who are you getting for him in return, but if you trade Jerod Durant, you've now traded your 3-hitter. You've now traded your your leadoff hitter, sorry. And he was leadoff hitter. He's been moved down the lineup. But you trade your opening day number 3 hitter. You've traded a guy that for the majority of the year has been your leadoff hitter, former All-Star. And this is the team that's supposed to be aggressive in making a push for a playoff spot. So maybe it becomes a buy and sell. You move Durant to open things up. Maybe it's a real player for player swap. You trade with the contender. Hey, we're going to give you a major league player for major league player back. We just need to shuffle the positions, right? We need a first baseman. Like that, there's context to this that it could work. But it would be a really interesting move. We talked about the public perception of where this team is at, right? To trade away your top 10 hitter in baseball and another all-star in a year you claim you're going for it and being aggressive. Like, and it could work, but it's going to take stones. It would take stones to pull off something like that.
And the same thing with the Devers trade. That is a long-term, let's see how it all falls together. The prospect bats it got back, the prospect arms, all of that. But you say, okay, trade Jerod Durant for a major league level player. 100% agree with that logic. You didn't get a major league level player back for Rafael Devers. We'll see what happens with Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison.
Not an impact player. I mean, Jordan Hicks is a defined bullpen piece. But
exactly.
You would need to do...
If you couldn't get impact back for Devers, do you get impact back for Durant? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing.
But then there's not money to take on.
Right. The return for Devers was getting the money off the books. That's what it was. You're not doing that with Durant.
Yeah.
You would need, it's funny to think about, you would need a better return. And I like Jerod Durant. But to suggest you would need a better return for Jerod Durant than Rafael Devers is kind of ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But in a player sense, I don't think it's unrealistic because you're not dealing with the contract thing. And he still has, I think, 2 more years of team control.
Durant does, yeah. They went through arbitration this past season.
For the first time.
Yes.
So he has 2 more years of team control. It's really 1 because teams don't like to go into that last year not knowing. So you're not selling him. No, he's 3 more years of team control.
Wow.
Spotrac has him with an arbitration year in 2028.
And he is about to be 29 in 4 months.
Yes.
Team control, he's up there. And you could just extend him. This is the one complete.
But I'm saying the point being, like, if you trade him,
then
you're not trading him as a rental.
No,
so you're going to get more
big
for
return
him.
there.
Yeah.
Because the other teams know that. Side tangent on baseball, real quick. This is one of the things I hate about baseball. Jerod Durant's a really good player.
Yeah,
and teams can mess around with paying him for the next 3 years. He won't get paid until he's 32, and he's well out of his prime.
They need to modernize their contracts. They need to modernize their contracts, and they need to modernize their draft.
Yep.
And I say this as somebody who worked in minor league baseball. I say this as somebody who really loved being a part of the Lowell Spinners. I think that team meant a ton for that community. It sucks they're gone. They should come back. I say that believing all of that. They might need to continue to chop away at the minor leagues because the fact you can leave these kids down there for 4 or 5 years is kind of nuts.
Juan Soto is getting $700 million a year, $700 in his contract. Yeah. Jerod Durant won't get paid until he's 32.
It's crazy.
Come on.
And
he's proven.
Maybe some of that is you stop drafting guys out of high school, right? You make guys go play college or whatever. And it's different. It's different for the international guys, right? Not entirely, but it's a little different for the international guys. They need to fix the contracts, but that's a whole other conversation. Hugh, I see you on the phone. We got to get a quick check of the headlines. I think Hugh wants to talk Patriots. You want to mix in a little Patriots talk? No?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah? All right, we'll mix in a little Patriots talk.
We got another tweet and I was reading that.
All right, George also came up with another Cape Cod take during the break. We might have figured out how he's getting to the Cape. So we'll do all that. Quick check of the headlines, 90 seconds, no commercials here on the Sports Hub.
From the Telford Tire Studios, it's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox back at it today, looking to clinch a series win against the Nationals after yesterday's win. First pitch coming up here momentarily. It'll be Walker Buehler on the mound for the Sox. The lineup behind him, Nate Eaton leads off playing third base. Romy Gonzalez playing second, batting second. Roman Anthony in right field, batting third. Rob Refsnyder's your designated hitter hitting cleanup. Lineup rounds out Carlos Narvaez at catcher, Trevor Story at shortstop, Jaron Duran in left field, Abraham Toro at first base, and batting ninth in center field, Ceddanne Rafaela. Meanwhile, looking ahead, Alex Cora telling reporters before the game the team expects to activate Masataka Yoshida during the upcoming homestand. Tanner Houck, meanwhile, will make another rehab start. The New England Revolution, they're on the road tonight, taking on the Portland Timbers at 10:30. You can catch the broadcast right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. And former Bruins forward Lyndon Byers has passed away. He was 61. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-thru oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub, and those are your Sports Hub headlines.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today. No matter what team, no matter what player, no matter what coach, no matter what game, it all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
So we've talked a lot about the hot dog eating contest. Final hour here, Alex Barth, George Balekji on the Sports Hub. Not one person has told me to stick to football. I tweeted one thing about the Red Sox over the weekend. I think it was the Red Sox. I don't even remember what it was. No, it wasn't even about the Red Sox. I remember what it was. I just tweeted Thursday that I was on with Michael Hawley. And I get, stick to the draft. Stick to the draft takes, Barth.
That's exactly how they sound, too, by the way.
It is.
Come on, Barth. What are you doing, Barth?
And no, I like talking about the draft. It is my favorite thing to talk about. We will talk plenty of draft. But I can talk about other things, too. I don't want to get typecasted, right? So I love that I can come on a show here with you, George. And I don't know if you get that. Do people look at you primarily for a sport? Like working at Nesson? Is it Red Sox? You get looked as a football guy?
I'm the football guy. And it's an interesting role because I do ringside for college hockey. Hey, I take pride in I'm the Swiss Army knife. I'm the versatility guy. I'm the Rob Refsnyder, but football.
This is part of the reason I love filling in during the summer because it's not a big Patriots time. And I get to remind people, hey, I can
flex those
I can talk some other sports too. But I am, above all else, I am nothing if not. I may not be the people's champ, George Sepulveda behind the glass.
Thank you. Appreciate the shout out.
But I do like to think of myself as a man of the people. I say this all the time when I'm on. I have my rundown, but you're kind enough to tune in. I want to give you the show you want. If you whatever you want to talk about within reason, I will talk about. So when Hugh and Easton calls in asking about the Patriots, I will happily talk a little Patriots. Hugh, what do you got for us today?
Yes, what do you think about the Patriots? How they're going to do this year? Because I think they're going to make it to the wild card. What do you think?
Are the Patriots going to make the wild card this year, Hugh? I got asked this plenty of times on the beach yesterday. I got asked win totals. I got asked playoffs. I'm not ruling it out. So some of this is kind of like I said about the Red Sox. The NFL screwed up their playoff format. They added an extra team. It's not good.
Yep.
Like they're going to be able to back in, but
it's their schedule for me.
It's two things. It's their schedule. I guess these are kind of related. And the AFC just sort of sucks.
If it was the NFC, they would not get in. It is a mauler of an NFC.
Yeah.
But yes, the AFC for what it is. Now, it's going to be interesting, but I just think the AFC stinks. Their division stinks outside of the Bills and them. And their schedule is so damn easy.
We talked about this the other night, George. It just comes down to, can they not get in their own way? If they can simply take advantage of other teams playing bad football, they can win 9 games. And last year, the last wild card spot, I don't actually remember who was technically the 7th seed.
Broncos.
I think it was the Broncos, but
it was at 10 and 7.
So the 6 and 7 seeds, the Steelers also got in with 10 wins. So you had 2 10-win wildcard teams.
And that's where I see this team falling, around 10 wins. I have them above.
They should win 10. Now, that doesn't mean they will win 10, but they should win 10. Even if they botch a couple, like 9 wins can get you in the playoffs.
Yep.
It's not a guarantee, but it can in the modern format. And they can win 9 games. Now, it's just as likely maybe they're in it week 18 and they need a win and help, and they win, but they don't get the help, right? Like, maybe they end up just outside. My prediction when I get asked this question is basically I think Week 18 will be a meaningful game. And not in the way last year was that don't give me that, like, don't be a wise ass, right? Because that obviously was a meaningful game. But I think they will be legitimately, I don't think they'll be eliminated when they kick the ball off Week 18. Now, do they end up just on the outside looking in? They don't get help? Do they control their own destiny? Maybe not. I think they'll be in at Week 18.
And they're hosting
if they take care of business.
And they're hosting the Dolphins Week 18. Hosting! One of the softest teams in the NFL.
Let it snow. Let it snow. Let it snow.
I don't know if we're good enough to take advantage of bad football.
That's the quote. You played that as a joke, George. I don't know if you have that full cut right now.
I do.
This is the whole season to me.
33 seconds.
Go.
Well, hang on. Let me set this up real quick. So when we did, me and Matt Dolph did the schedule picking back when the schedule came out, right? And I had him at 10 wins, and I'm driving home. I'm like, this team won 4 games a year ago. What am I, crazy? I picked 10 wins on air. And then I'm thinking through, I'm like, why did I do that? Well, because like these are teams on paper, they're better than. So then why did they win so few games last year? Oh, because they don't win the games they should win. Huh. I think I remember somebody saying something about this recently, that if they just take care of the things they should take care of, not even going above and beyond, they'll be better. Who was it that said that? Oh, that's right. It's the new head coach's introductory press conference.
We just want to be good enough to take advantage of bad football. Like, that's where we're going to start. And that's what I've tried to tell all the players is right now, I don't know if we're good enough to take advantage of bad football. I'm not sure. Like, we're undefeated right now, but if we can just work towards taking advantage of bad football and being good enough to when somebody makes a mistake, capitalizing on it and not being the ones that make the mistakes and focusing on the little things and the details and helping them do their job better, that's a great place to start.
That quote has not gotten enough play. And I'll tell you this, when we open Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff Season 3, I think we're on Season 3. Yeah, Season 3, when that comes back in August, hopefully. As far as I know it is. I hope it is. We're going to open with that. That's the entire season right there. That's not the entire Vrabel era. And the setup is he's asked about like pillars of his program, and he mentions that being a good place to start. If the Patriots check that box this year, that one box, and they stay healthy, obviously. If they check that one box, I truly believe they're going to be in it to Week 18. I do think it's that simple.
And I love that he kept it simple. The pillars could have been big picture stuff. Gosh, it could have been that North Star conversation again. It's like, no, we go out, play good football, sound football, fundamental football. Do the little things right. We'll beat teams we should. We'll beat teams we shouldn't. And then we're going to beat some good teams. And that's how you win games. I was telling you, first time I was on, covered Denver Johnson, head coach of Missouri Southern football.
Yeah.
And his pregame presser, we all knew they stunk. And he said, look, our goal is to beat the games and win the games we should, and we'll win a game or two that we shouldn't, and then we'll have more wins we're expected. Yes, they went 0-11, but it is a football coach keeping it simple for what the goal is, and it's focusing it on week by week, and he's not getting too big. What else? Affecting the quarterback. And all of that we could get into, and even asked about, well, you know, you ran the ball a lot with Derrick Henry. He goes, Derrick Henry was my best player. I know I had Ryan Tannehill. He was good. So, yeah, Derrick Henry's my best player. He knows who his best player is in Drake May. They got Josh McDaniels. They're going to have that approach. And what all his former Titan players said was basically, there's a Taylor Lewan bite. He's like, hey, all those close one-possession games, get ready. You're going to win all of them because that's what he does. He'll make sure you know what the special teams and defensive goals are if you're on the offense and opposite and all of that. He goes, get ready. You're going to win those. And that's why he brought him in, to get back to a serious football operation with respectability and credibility.
Just don't be the dumber team. It's crazy how many more games you'll win when you're just not the dumber team. And that what you just described from Vrabel, that's an old Belichick thing. That's something he got from Belichick. You'll hear Belichick's former players all the time. He'd get up in front of the team meeting. I think it was usually like the Friday meeting, like after practice. It might have been Saturday. I don't remember exactly when in the week. But he'd be like, all right, if we do A, B, and C, we're going to win. And people said like early on when they'd get there, your players be like, just those 3 things, like that's it. And then it would come to fruition every single week. And it does sound like Vrabel has a similar thing. But I just go back to how many times, and it's not just last year. It's really, it even goes back to the end of Bill. How many times did they play a bad football team, but we came away thinking they made more mistakes? and they made more mental errors, and they got in their way more.
And that was never the Patriot way.
Right. It's just not doing... Now, that's not going to win them a Super Bowl. It's going to be more than that to win a Super Bowl. They don't need to win a Super Bowl this year for it to be a successful season. I know, it's the Patriots. We hold no higher standard, blah, blah, blah. Trust me, I can't wait to get back there. I can't wait. If they make the playoffs this year, year 2 of a young quarterback, year 1 of a new head coach.
Exactly.
That'd be great. And the way they're going to do that is not getting in their own way and taking advantage when other teams do. It's that simple. If they can do that, I'm not going to sit here and guarantee the playoffs, but I think they'll be playing meaningful football into the end of December and just past New Year's if they can do that. And part of it is, too, like you said, we should acknowledge the schedule sucks. The conference sucks. They are going to get some help externally in that regard.
But even if the schedule sucks, you still have to be good at football. It's the
right.
NFL.
You have to beat. That's the thing. Their schedule sucked last year, but they couldn't beat the sucky teams.
Exactly. Remember, Rams were a good team, but the Rams game, they kept blitzing and kept blitzing and kept blitzing, and Matt Stafford threw all over.
It's not
and
just
them
that
apart.
they kept blitzing; they're sending 7 and still not getting home.
Yep, they couldn't generate. Well, to the Jets game, the first time they played the Jets, the performance that everyone said, "Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers is back." The Jets, I've not been this excited about a Jets team since forever because they couldn't pick up a simple stunt or blitz. And their quarterback got killed, and their defense generated 0 pressure. On top of that, yes, they're blitzing, and no one's getting there. And they weren't being smart with Christian Gonzalez and having them fly paper either Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. It was the simple things. And when you and I know a good amount about football.
Yep.
But I always say it when there's a weird move made, there's some coaching decision, I go, they know more than me. They're smarter. They're in the meetings every day. They know more than me. I chalk it up. I know those coaches know more than me. But we're able to point out what the issues are, and they were never correcting them. That's a bad football team.
Yeah. I go back to
team.
They played, where did the Titans draft again?
Number 1 overall.
They lost that game. Where'd the Jaguars draft?
3. No, 2. Sorry.
They lost. Well, I think they traded up to 2, but they lost that game.
Yeah, true. They were picking 5 overall.
That's a great example. The Jaguars didn't do anything flashy in that game. They just realized the Patriots are going to make mistakes, and they said, we're going to run the ball, we're going to shorten the game, we're going to keep the clock moving, and we're going to get out of here before we make more mistakes than they do. It's not the sexiest way to win. I'm not saying it's going to be the most fun you've ever had watching football. The ball's not going to be flying around the yard like it did in 2007. That's okay. I'm not one of these snobs. Points, offense, fantasy football. I need overs. Win the games. I don't care. Win them 6-3. I don't care. Win the games. That's what I want to see. And I think they're going to get back to that approach.
And everything he does is with logic. Oh, also, all this we have not mentioned.
Yeah.
One thing I like about them making the playoffs, Josh McDaniels is leading the offense. You have someone with experience. Clearly, he had the best resume of all the viable coordinators out there. But it's not just him. It's Thomas Brown is a major assistant coach. It's Doug Marrone leading the offensive line with 2 assistant coaches.
They have multiple former head coaches, offense coordinators on staff.
It's even sprinkling in the Riley Larkin and the Ashton Grant. Riley Larkin's just an offensive assistant, but you bring him from Chip Kelly, who Josh McDaniels spent time with this past football season. When I was watching the national championship and everything Will Howard was doing with that Ohio State offense, where there's studs everywhere, first-round picks everywhere. But watching that, I was like, if you do that with Drake May, you give him smart carries, smart decisions, move the pocket, the sprint outs, the actual read options, and the RPOs. And yeah, Drake May has a much better arm than Will Howard. But if you do that, boom, they brought Riley Larkin. Ashton Grant comes from the Cleveland Browns. Familiarity with AVP, Kevin Stefanski, a West Coast offense. Yes, it looks like a retread of Patriots because Josh McDaniels is back. But what was the issue with Bill, the coach, towards the end of his tenure? He would not hire anyone outside of his direct circle. He didn't trust anyone. He wouldn't hire anyone. He didn't want to teach anyone.
The coaching pipeline dried up. They'd always done a very good job. He didn't always. Here's the thing. He didn't always hire externally in the past, but the internal hires, there were always young guys. If you look at the coaches from the middle run of the dynasty, right? Like 06 to 10, 11, 12. All the guys who were coordinators at that level. They were position coaches during the first run. If you look at the guys who were coaches during the third, they were positional coaches during the second. And instead of restocking the pipeline, you had Matt Patricia coming back to be the offensive coordinator and Joe Judge coming back to be the quarterback's coach.
Exactly. But now it's Josh McDaniels, and he's hiring outside.
Yeah. And he's hiring
himself.
young.
Yes.
They've built a pipeline. If you lose, I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but if you lose Let's say they have a great year and Ashton Grant becomes a hot name in the offensive coordinator
What a come
community,
up for
right?
him. Yeah.
And gets hired away. Well, now you have Riley Larkin right there, and boom, he's your new quarterbacks coach, right? Let's say, McDaniels isn't going to get hired away. That's a bad example. Like, you have the pipelines there. Because when they hired Vrabel, the big critique was, no, you have to hire an offensive coach because there's going to be too much coaching turnover for a young quarterback. Yes, but if you build the pipeline, you can mitigate that. I think they've done a good job building the pipeline.
And I even think that in a way of, like, Thomas Brown, coaching name that's always mentioned. Sean McVay coaching Tree Branch. Was an offensive coordinator twice. Carolina was awful that whole existence, but he had to do it there. Obviously, Chicago stunk. But if that's a guy that's hired away, that's where the Ashton Grant elevation comes in. Tony Dews, your running backs coach, probably not going anywhere. Todd Downey, your wide receivers coach, I don't think he's really going anywhere. But if he does, it is an Ashton Grant, a Riley Larkin they can elevate.
Right.
And even on the defensive side of this all, too, when they go with a Scott Booker as their safeties coach, what he did with Kevin Byard, Amani Hooker, Andrew Adams, as a safeties coach for 4 seasons in Tennessee, that's experience. When they have Clint McMillan coaching the defensive line, it's Terrell Williams' show, but under him, that's the same thing. It's younger guys with experience, but are still learning. Jeremy Springer, one of the few carryovers from last season, rightfully so. Great special teams coordinator. Tom Quinn, they bring in his assistant special. They outfitted the coaching staff. What always jumped out to me too, Barth, was how small the Patriots coaching staff was compared to others around the league. And there was a point where Bill was doing a lot. I think we realized how much he was doing when Jerod Mayo was the head coach. But it was an undersized coaching staff. They're using the resources to pay these coaches who they are. Like Todd Nowding's probably still getting paid. But they're paying them where they can, and they're outfitting a big staff. It's a serious football operation. Summary right there.
So just to give you an example, 2004 Patriots, right? Bill's the head coach. Charlie Weiss is the offensive coordinator. Romeo Crennel's defensive coordinator. They won 3 Super Bowls together.
Come on.
The quarterback's coach, Josh McDaniels, on that team. Quarterback's coach, Josh McDaniels, went on to become the OC there. The wide receivers coach was Brian Daboll. He obviously went on to have some success.
Amazing.
Oddly enough, offensive coaching assistant, Matt Patricia. Obviously factored into the pipeline later, and I picked the one year he was on offense. On defense, Dean Pease, linebackers coach, ended up a defensive coordinator. Another guy that, unfortunate, but he still factored in, Eric Mangini, was the defensive backs coach. Even in the front office, Scott Pioli was your VP of player personnel.
Yep.
But you had Nick Caserio. You had Thomas Dimitroff. There was a pipeline. When you lost one guy, there was another guy ready to come up, and I feel like they've done a good job putting that together and done it with diversity and background in the sense that you have guys coming from different teams, different schemes, all of that. But it's still Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's. It still comes down to the players. Could the Patriots maybe still add to their roster and get a player who can put them over the top? There's a couple guys that might fit that bill. We'll get to that next here on the Sports Hub.
They want you to cook the dinner. At least they ought to let you shop for some of the groceries. Okay?
Boston's home.
Boston sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
The problem is, with this particular situation, I think Terry McLaurin is going to argue that we've seen other wide receivers who his numbers are comparable to, like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and DK Metcalf, get paid over $30 million a year this offseason. And I think the Commanders then can say yes, but Mike Evans, who also has had comparable numbers, is at $24 million. So there really is quite a difference and a gap between what both sides would want. They have not made any progress. I would think that we'll see if there are any teams that decide to come snooping around Terry McLaurin to see if they could try to pry loose Terry McLaurin, who, by the way, I cannot envision the Commanders moving on from, no matter how disgruntled he may be. Again, it's sort of like TJ Watt. You can't imagine that these two sides, as far apart as they are today, wouldn't be able to somehow find a way to bridge their differences and figure out a solution.
That was Adam Schefter. That was this week, George, right? Earlier this week?
Correct, on the Pat McAfee Show.
On the Pat McAfee Show, talking about some of the players that might be available this time of year. This is what we do. It's the NFL dead period, so you get into contract disputes and things like that. It's Alex Barth and George Balekji on the Sports Hub. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. You got about half an hour left to get those calls in.
Let me know the best Cape town out there, too.
We're gonna get into the Cape in a second.
I will never go to the Cape, but let me know the best town if I ever should go.
617-779-0985. Our best spot on the Cape. There's like some... If people will be like, well, this town, this spot, it's like big neighborhoods. I don't know if that's a thing in Jersey. That's a big thing in Massachusetts. It's like the neighborhoods within the town.
Well, we got the tweet from our guy Ryan. You can literally drive to NYC in sub 3 hours. The Cape is never worth it. Newport, Rhode Island, highly underrated. Completely different vibe if you're going to New York City.
Or even Newport. Like, Newport has beaches, but like I think of Newport, you're going
downtown.
To look at the mansions and go downtown and things like that. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a good day, but you're not like, oh, I want to go to the beach. I'll drive down to New York City. Like, that's not what anybody's debating. But that did make me realize, we should have mentioned this before, what you could do is take the train to the Cape.
Didn't know that.
So the only thing then is, like, once you're there, how are you getting around? Do you Uber, rent a car down there, whatever, but no traffic on the train.
Yeah, the Cape Flyer, it's called.
Yep.
Like 2 hours, 20 minutes roughly, South Station, Hyannis.
It's not bad.
Same thing back. No. If you have friends already down there, they can pick you up. You do an Uber to get you to the Airbnb. Simple taxi. 2 hours, 20 minutes, and you don't have to drive.
Right.
You sit back and relax.
Yeah, you can do stuff.
I'm all for that.
So maybe that's how we get you to the Cape.
All right.
And then you have to but then you're going to Hyannis Harbor Hawks game. You're not getting a White House Field.
I could get a rental car.
You get a rental car.
Use the app,
you
Turo.
could do that. Yeah.
Something like that. Pick up Hertz now.
So that's how we're getting George to the Cape. Where should he go? 617-779-0985. So we're in the dead period of the NFL offseason, contract negotiations. There's basically three players right now: TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, Terry McLaurin. Those are the big three who are all kind of holding out. Two pass rushers and a receiver. I'm going to ask you for two different lists, George, and these are two different questions. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
Rank those three in the order that you think they would be best for the Patriots.
Okay.
And then rank those three in the order that you think they're most likely to become available. Because here's the thing. We do this every year. There's 5 or 6 players around this time and we'll get a couple more added to the list, I'm sure, once camp truly starts at the end of July, that are holding out. No, wants a trade, doesn't have a contract, blah, blah, blah. Maybe 1 or 2 get dealt every year. Matthew Judon was one last year, but the vast majority of these guys ultimately do not end up becoming available. It's a leverage play. The contract gets signed, and it's behind them. Everybody's shaking hands and having a good time once the deal gets done. So let's do this one first. Rank them in terms of, if you're the Patriots, let's say all 3 are available. Who's the guy you're targeting the most? Who do you think is the best fit? And then down from there.
So I'm going to go 3-1.
Okay.
Best fit at 3, I do put Trey Hendrickson. That doesn't mean he's not a fit.
Sure.
I'm going best fit. Number 2 is TJ Watt.
Yep.
Number 1 is Terry McLaurin. They need a downfield receiver. They need an actual leader in the locker room. We'll see what Stephon Diggs becomes. But this is a guy that walking, talking, 80, 90 catches, 1,000 yards, really good run blocker. And when every draft pick made by the Patriots, what was mentioned about him? High character guy, football guy, great for the culture. Terry McLaurin might be one of the most liked people in any NFL locker room. And that's everyone that meets him, reporters, players, coaches, anybody around the Commanders team.
Before all this, you never heard a whisper about Terry McLaurin. I don't want to hear, oh, if he's such a good guy, why is he holding out? Like,
get paid.
These are just athletes nowadays. You got to live with it. Larry Fitzgerald is a dinosaur.
The fact that when this came out, I was like, Terry McLaurin?
Right, I was surprised. And I get it. He's 29 years old. He's going to a contract year. It makes sense, but
he also fits his offense really well.
He
can be
does.
an outside the numbers guy or outside the hashes, where you have Kyle Williams more down the middle of the field, downfield, or he's good underneath. They have a lot of slots. They have a lot of 10, 15-yard down the field. Terry McLaurin's down the field.
So, tangent take here. Not to bring up bad times in the 2019 draft in N'Keal Harry, right? But people go back to that. Oh, they should have taken DK Metcalf. They should have taken A.J. Brown, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not saying that. Look, you can certainly argue that they should have made a departure from their tendencies, but at the time, drafting those two guys would have represented a major shift in philosophy for where the team was at the wide receiver position in the draft as a whole. They would have been wildly uncharacteristic draft picks. Again, I reckon, well, they're not drafting well anyway, so they should have gone off character. Fine, but like it was never realistic. The real miss in the 2019 draft is Terry McLaurin. It always has been. He's a better fit in the McDaniels offense. First of all, he was like a standout gunner. That was the big thing about him coming out of college, was how good he was on special teams. And he was team captain. So they didn't draft Ohio State guys. That was the one exception. The last Ohio State guy that drafted before Travion Henderson was Nate Ebner. So it had been a while.
Doesn't count.
But what do you mean it doesn't count?
It's Nate Ebner. I'm saying.
All right, you've only been here for 3 years. Like, we don't do that with the special teams guys, the good ones. We don't do that here.
Oh.
Nate Ebner was a hell of a special teamer.
Yeah,
and,
great.
by the way, a U.S. Olympian. So I'm not going to let you do that to Nate Ebner.
It doesn't count that you drafted an Ohio State guy. You need to draft someone at an actual position.
I'm not going to sit here and let you do that. But
and I'm all for all
they
3 days of football, man.
They didn't draft Ohio State guys, but outside of that, McLaurin has always been the second guess for me. I like DK Metcalf. I like A.J. Brown. They're good players.
Take me back to 2019 in the third round, because Terry McLaurin went the pick before the Patriots at 77. But did they stick and pick at third? Did they trade back to 77? Because they ended up with Chase Winovich, which we know how that ended up.
Who they did like. I can't tell you if they liked him more than McLaurin. I don't know about that.
I don't think they would have ever drafted Terry McLaurin.
They were
trusting their scouting and Bill Belichick's judgment at that point.
They were going to they were never going to draft him. They didn't take him, right? And people thought he was going to be a 4th round pick. Like, he went higher than expected. But the point is, like, if you think they weren't going to take McLaurin fits the box of the guys they were drafting at that time.
Fair.
Significantly more than A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf. And again, you can say, well, maybe they should have been breaking those boxes because they weren't drafting wide receivers well, which is a fair critique. I'm just telling you, being in the moment.
I get it.
Like, because we go through this. This is a Patriots guy. Like, A.J. Brown kind of was. You were a fan. Like, DK Metcalf was never a Patriots guy. We all liked him, but nobody was looking at him and saying that's a Patriots draft.
He also had so many red flags in his draft evaluation. Right. The way he tested, literally just run straight lines.
Terry McLaurin was a guy you looked at and said, outside of the Ohio State thing, that's a Patriots draft pick. So the other part of that list, who do you think's the most likely to become available?
Okay, again, going from 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Most likely to happen, number 3, and I don't think it's going to happen, is Terry McLaurin.
You think he's the most likely to become available?
No, I'm sorry. I'm going 3 to 1.
Least likely. Okay,
he's least likely.
Yeah.
So least likely to become available, I think it is Terry McLaurin. Then it's TJ Watt. Then it's Trey Hendrickson.
I actually disagree with you a little bit on that. We'll get into that on the other side here. It's Alex Barth and George Balekji on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5.
Happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on the Sports Hub, Alex Barth, George Balekji, or as Matt McCarthy says, George Bahaki. We got to do a hockey segment with you. We're not going to get to it today, but we'll do a hockey segment with you at some point so we can do George Bahaki.
That was fantastic.
That was great.
I literally just laughed.
And it's McCarthy, and he's like the nicest guy, and he means well, obviously.
No,
I did not take... not close.
I took zero insult or took it personally. I laughed of wow, I've never heard that before.
But
and I knew he was trying.
Like Krejci.
No, wrong. Not like Krejci. It's not Balekji. It's Balekji.
So that's where I got screwed, and I've been trying to get it. It's the k and the ch. Right, it's both of them.
Yeah, it's Balekji.
Oh, it's G, not Chi.
Yes,
okay, I've been doing Chi. I'm sorry.
You're all good.
Balekji.
It's all. Just let it roll.
Just wait till you're on with Felger. He'll call you George Brown.
Felger, my first time here.
last names.
By the way, I couldn't have had a better intro to the Sports Hub my first night here. As I'm walking in, Jay Stu's walking out. Introduce myself, George from Boston is out in the chat, and he offered to buzz me in. But as I'm walking, I look to my left, and it's Felger. Meet him first time. He doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, but really nice. And then met Maz. Everyone here,
great,
really nice. But I think the funniest thing is Felger buzzed me in, and right away goes, "Oh, Boston is in the chat. You guys do a great job with the show. Loved it when you had Lombardi on." And we both laughed about the fact that Bill gets hired at UNC and Michael Lombardi obviously follows his coattails there. Joke. Anyway.
We'll hear more from Lombardi, I'm sure. We're getting close to college football season. He's not in the video game. I'm bummed because they put real coaches in the college football video game this year. So Dion's not in either, which kind of surprised me. I'm guessing they both feel. I don't know what Bill's deal is.
Get a cut. But how does Jordan not tell Bill to be in the video game? Because that would help with him monitoring.
Because so I had this thought about Dion, and I wonder if it applies to Bill. Whatever the coaches are getting paid for that, Bill's branding is worth more probably than the generic. And same for Dion. Like Dion, because it's going to be the same across the board. They probably want to negotiate separately. Like even a guy like Matt Rule. Matt Rule is an NFL coach. He's a pretty big name. Bill Belichick's likeness is worth so much more than Matt Rule. Dion's likeness is worth so much more than Matt Rule. And I don't know this for sure. So in the videos that have come out, because people are like the influencers who play the game, they get early access and they post videos about it. And I'm a nerd.
What a world we live
I'm a nerd and I watch some of them. And part of the reason I watch is I wanted to see if Bill was in it. And when they scroll over UNC and when they scroll over Colorado, it looks like generic coaches. So maybe there's a late change coming, but from what I saw, although Rob Gronkowski will be in Madden, they're going to have him as the keeper of the light when you play some games.
Think about, Ryan Day just won a national championship.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick's brand's bigger than his.
So ESPN.
Marcus Freeman.
Let me see if I can find this.
All of these guys. Steve Sarkisian. His brand's bigger than him. Got to pronounce it the Armenian way, by the way.
Is that like the proper...
Any Armenian last name, like it's Kardashian?
Yeah.
It really is Kardashian. It's always Eon at the end. Got to get
Steve.
You're good though.
Steve Sarkisian is what it would.
Good. I like that.
Okay,
that's a good one.
Right, Balekji.
So I have something. Let's do a college football segment in a bit. Hold that take you had on. It's going to be Belichick related, so you don't need to turn your radios off. I just want to get back to what you said before.
About special teams.
That we're not going back to that. You were just wrong. We don't need to revisit that.
I'm right.
You're not. I want to go back to what you said. Remind me the most to least likely or least to most likely to be available between Hendrickson, Watt, and McLaurin.
Least likely, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Then TJ Watt, then Trey Hendrickson. So I think Trey Hendrickson's most likely to be available and land with the Patriots.
I agree that Hendrickson's the most likely to be available, and I don't think there's a close gap between 1 and 2. I think McLaurin's more likely to be available because of Watt. I'll give you 2 reasons. One, they have a 40-something-year-old quarterback. They can't be shedding talent. The Steelers. They can't be doing it. Now, you could argue, well, the Commanders have a young 20-something-year-old quarterback, and they need to develop him cost-controlled.
Their win now, the moves they made, getting Laramie Tunsil.
But let's look at the organizations we're talking about. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who generally handle their business.
Okay.
And maybe they haven't done it at a very high level the last few years, but I'd call that a no-nonsense organization.
Yep.
Then you have the Washington Commanders, who, yes, Dan Schneider's not running the show anymore.
It's Josh Harris.
But
they brought a guy over from the 49ers. I know, but it's new.
And how the 49ers been doing retaining their receivers?
Okay.
They got in that whole spat with Ayuk. Probably would have been traded this year if he didn't tear his ACL. Debo's out the door.
But they did pay him.
They did pay him. That
Which
is true.
Fine. But again, and this is where I go back to, now we're going into it. The Trey Lance, all of that. That was a John Lynch pick.
That was a John Lynch pick.
That was not Kyle Shanahan. So who is it? It's Josh Peters, right? That leads.
Adam Peters.
Adam Peters, thank you. He's the branch off the 49ers tree. But the way they're building the team, it's just like the Texans with Nick Caserio. Exceeded expectations, made the playoffs for them. They made to the NFC Championship game. What did the Texans do? Sign Stephon Diggs, trade for Danielle Hunter, sign him, go all in. Commanders are doing that now. Cost control, rookie quarterback contract. I don't have to tell you, Barth. You know how valuable it is. You have to keep, because who are you going to have that replaces Terry McLaurin for a quarterback that loves to throw the ball downfield?
If it were me, McLaurin, I would not let McLaurin out the door. It'll be organizational malpractice to let him out the door.
Cool.
For all the reasons you just said. Cool. And it would also be the reason I would put a lot on the table if I'm the Patriots to get him if he became available, because you also have the young, cost-controlled quarterback you're trying to develop.
Mm-hmm.
But organizational malpractice is something we've seen time and time again from the Washington Commanders. We don't really see it that much from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And there's a part of me that still falls back on that. And the fact that, the Commanders are winning now, but not in the same way the Steelers are winning now. The Steelers are not going to have a quarterback next year. I like Will Howard, not that much.
No.
The Steelers are not going to have a quarterback next year, so I think that's a factor.
But I would argue, in a way, these organizations are flipping what they do. We never see organizational malpractice from the Steelers. And then they signed Aaron Rodgers.
That's a fair point.
And so we could see both of these organizations, in a way, making a 180 or
That's
switching.
a fair point.
That's my thing. Like the Commanders, I believe in the new regime.
Yeah.
New stadium, all that. Like that matters. But for the Steelers, they've always done it. But then they signed Aaron Rodgers. And I was big on Rodgers with the Jets. The whole time it made sense. You got to be done with that. The guy the perfect thing, on McAfee is like, I might be done after this year. I don't know yet. Typical Aaron Rodgers, leaves the door open. Every week he'll go on McAfee and they'll ask him, he'll throw 3 touchdowns or he'll throw 3 interceptions. And be like, I don't know yet. He's going to be a distraction. Loved by his teammates. I covered him for 2 seasons in Green Bay. He walks into the press conference room. He'll filibuster. He'll answer some questions. He'll be good in a presser. But he thinks he's the smartest guy in every single room that he's in. And we know that with the, what was it? I'm immunized, whatever it was.
Whatever that was, yeah.
But that's how he is. It's just what he did. Made Tim Boyle be the backup. Alan Lazard got all that money, who's fine, but he's not worth it. It's everything he did. That's going to now happen in Pittsburgh, I believe. He's not going to change Aaron Rodgers.
We both agree the Bengals are just a complete mess, though, right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hendrickson, and it's not close after that. So
can you, the luck you have to have at the cost of Joe Burrow's knee to get Joe Burrow, then Jamar Chase. Yeah, it was that order. And to have T. Higgins, too, who was a second-round pick they drafted. But everything going right. This draft, they go twice with an interior offensive lineman, twice with an off-ball linebacker, and they're not putting into the contract Shamar Stewart wants.
Yeah, they can't get their first-round pick to sign.
And they can't pay Trey Hendrickson. You, again, all in. This is your last year to do it, because then you're going to be the Dolphins paying the cost, paying the tax on wide receiver, quarterback, under contract, all that. The Bengals they're so cheap. So, you know what they take pride in? A guy I work with is Trevor. He does the best thing. We'll say something, goes, hang the banner. You're like, what? He's like, hang the banner over something stupid. The Bengals hang the banner over having the least amount of dead money in the NFL. Congrats, guys. That's part of the game.
It used to be them and the Raiders. I don't know if it still is. It used to be them and the Raiders, and nobody else was close for the smallest medical staff and the smallest scouting staff.
That's awful.
Which is
stupid.
Hang the banner.
Yeah.
You made me think of a Bill Belichick take I have. Let's wrap this up. It's 4 hours on a holiday weekend. I want to talk a little college football. I'm going to make it Belichick adjacent. I'm going to make it Patriots adjacent. I promise. But we are just a couple of weeks away from week 0. Yes, it's a real thing. Yes, 0 is a number. You know, Matt McCarthy tried to tell me last year 0 was not a number.
Go tell Walker Buehler that.
That's right. And he had an 11-pitch first inning today.
Look at that. Sox up 3-0.
So there we go. I got a quick college football take to wrap up the show coming up next here on the Sports Hub.
It was a mutual decision.
Boston's home.
about this, at least not on here. Like, me as a college football fan, all the life stuff aside, which is kind of taking away from this take, but I'm excited to see what Bill does with college football. UNC is not a terrible program. The ACC sucks. He can win some games. He's the greatest coach in the history of the sport. Like, I'm excited to watch that part of it. Call me a nerd. I'm excited to watch Bill Belichick coach college football. Are you interested at all in the Bill Belichick UNC storyline?
100%. He can't just win, though. He has to dominate. He's the greatest football coach of all time. And he's going down to college in a way when everyone was saying, like, when he was done, what do you have left? He's won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, 2 more as a coordinator. Winningest in everything. No doubt about it, the greatest football coach of all time. You go to UNC, and with everything happening off the field as well, with how it ended in New England, you're going to do that at your age. He has to dominate 1,000% on him. I'm intrigued in this. And I know it's UNC, but to your point, that's a team that was making appearances in bowl games, winning 6, 7, 8 games. Good by UNC standards. They're paying him a lot of money. He upped their NIL budget to $20 million. That's Ohio State, Texas budget around there. They probably have more. But he's upping the budget. They have to compete. And as he wants to say, it's more of a feeder system into the NFL. In a way, like, be the Nick Saban now of college football. Be what John Calipari is at Kentucky and now Arkansas to the NBA. That is what Bill wants to be, but you have to win games. I'm intrigued by that. I'm intrigued how committed he is. How modern he gets. I'm intrigued how much of a distraction or not his girlfriend will be, and how long he stays.
So who cares? The college football world. And this was another question. Like, are the college football people going to care? Because they're so insulated in this. ESPN, this was a while ago, but I haven't been on to talk about this. Back in mid-May, ESPN wrote 100 takes for 100 days to go until the start of the college football season. And they didn't literally list out 100 takes. There's like top 10 games, top 10 storylines, blah, 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 whatever. They open it by saying 100 days from now, the college football season will officially begin. Week 0 kicks off August 23rd. Iowa takes on Kansas State in Dublin. That's the first game of the year. Okay.
That sounds awesome, too, by the way.
That sounds incredible. The next the first individual mentioned by name and the next school mentioned this year, we'll see 6-time Super Bowl winning coach Bill Belichick make his college football coaching debut at Notre Dame. ESPN led this thing off with Bill Belichick. They didn't stop there. 10 must-know storylines about the season. I'll save you some of the ones that maybe aren't, if you're not familiar with college football, but ones you would just know being a sports fan. Number 4 is Deion at Colorado post Shedeur and Travis Hunter. That's number 4. Number 3 is Alabama post Saban.
Makes sense.
That's a big story. Think Patriots post Bill.
100%.
Number 2 is Arch Manning. The number 1 story in college football, according to ESPN, who has a vested stake in people being interested in college football as the broadcast partner. Belichick goes to school.
Correct.
And they even say, let's try to set aside the sideshow that is Bill Belichick's personal life and return our attention to why anyone is fascinated with him in the first place. Arguably the greatest football coach who's ever lived, a man who won 6 Super Bowl rings as the head coach of the New England Patriots, but never coached at the college level, will begin his reign at North Carolina. Not just that, they continue. Top 10 coaches to watch in college football this year.
Come on.
Dabo Swinney, who has sucked the last couple of years and gotten a pass and has a great team this year and needs to win. He's number 10. Mike Norvell, who's might have the hottest seat in the country, is number 8. Marcus Freeman, who might be an NFL, he could get poached by the NFL. He's number 7.
1,000%.
Deion Sanders is number 5.
Yep.
Kalen DeBoer replacing Nick Saban is number 4. Brent Venables, big-time hot seat, is number 3. I would have put some of those other guys ahead of him. Number 2 is James Franklin. The number 1 coach to watch in college football in 2025, according to ESPN, Bill Belichick.
It makes sense.
And they go one more in there, too. They do 10 bold predictions or 10 wild predictions for the season. Bill's not number 1 this time, but he's number 3. The writer these were all written by different people, so I don't know if I have the exact person for this one, but on ESPN, number 3, Bill Belichick, one and done. He's going to be a massive talking point during college football this year.
The whole season.
Yeah.
When they have daily college football talk, he's going to bring college football to actually be brought up on Get Up and First Take. They're going to keep him at the forefront. What I did love was the line of, put the off-the-field stuff aside. That's ESPN doing a favor for Bill. because they know that he knows and everything he
Am I
says.
not allowed to do that? Can I not just be curious about the football and his mind attacking the current iteration of the college game?
1,000% you are, but I think you're in the minority then at that
And
point.
I'll acknowledge that. That's fine, but that's what I'm interested in.
No,
I'm not a reality TV guy. I don't watch the dating shows. I want to see the
You don't
football.
do Love Island?
No, I don't. I was getting made fun of for that yesterday.
I will never watch. If I have time, I'm not giving it to that show. No chance.
I'm so that The Bachelor. What's the other one everybody likes? Below Deck. Like it doesn't do it.
I can't.
For me.
The Bachelor, like they're all the most beautiful people in the world, and they can't find love. Get over yourself.
Thank you.
My dream job is to host that show, though.
Oh, really?
Because I would call them all out on their BS. Oh,
I'm rooting
1,000%.
for you. If
Thank
you're going to do that, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you, my friend. Anyhow, yes, I agree with you that you are allowed to focus on the football, Bill Belichick. I'm going to focus on everything. But end of the day, if they win, no one cares. He has to dominate. And you bring up those coaches, he's a much bigger name than everyone on that list except Deion Sanders. And he is.
He's a bigger name than Deion
But it's him in
Sanders.
prime, and then it's everyone else on that list.
Yeah.
Like Brent Venables at 3. Was he 3 or 2? I was like, what?
He was 3. James Franklin was 2.
But think of also a college football audience. I think Mike
even
Norvell,
for the college football audience, Norvell. Dabo should be higher, but he gets passed.
Dabo and Norvell should be up there. Brent Venables, like when Oklahoma's good, but like he's there.
Yeah. Even Chip Kelly should be higher.
Yes.
Not Chip Kelly, Brian Kelly. Chip Kelly's in the NFL. Monday, September 1st, 8 o'clock, UNC, TCU. Can't wait. George.
That's a good one. It's a good matchup. Barth.
Another one in the books.
Happy
Is this Stapleton?
5th, man.
Is this Stapleton too?
You know,
you should probably leave. I see what you did with this.
I got to take care of the talent.
He's on my short list of people I need to see live. Is Chris Stapleton?
He was just at Gillette.
I'm not going there. I'll never go to Same thing with the Cape. I'll never go to Gillette for a concert because of the travel.
I have some tips for you. We'll get to those off the air. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to those, but that'll do it for us.
I'll be back with you July 18th.
You'll
Friday
be back
night.
July 18th. I will be back Monday night. I will be solo, so I will be taking your calls as much as possible. 617-779-0985. George, enjoy the rest of your weekend. George behind the glass. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. Everybody out there, enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. Stay safe, and I will talk to you on Monday. Bye.
See ya.
I'm not gonna sit here and let you do that.